And we are live. We are live. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all here, waiting, ready to go. We haven't done one of these in a while. It was summertime, and wow, has anyone else found the summer has just flown by? Yeah, right? Yeah, and every time I went to find a time to do one of these, it was just, oh, we've got something else on. We did camping and some other things, and low key, but yeah, it's flown. I can't believe it is September 3rd. So, yeah, if you're experiencing the same thing, I've been hearing that on my calls, and so you're not alone. This year has flown by, summer has flown by, except the heartbreak times, right? The things that are hard to get over, those don't flow by. So, nearly as fast. So, anyway, nice to have you all here. I'd love to know who's on and where you're calling in, where you're watching from. We're not calling in on this one, where you're watching in from. I wish it was back and forth. We can do that sometime on Zoom. I'm going to set up some Zoom workshops, but for now, this is great. You get to watch and be here. And the main thing is that you're here live. You get the energy of it, and you hear the answers to your questions. So, yeah. Hi, Kelly from Calgary, Canada. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. Thanks for spending your Saturday night with me. I think you're a couple hours ahead, or you're 1 hour ahead of me. And who else? Who else is here? Don't be shy. Pop in. Tell me where you are, and hey, I might even recognize you or know you from somewhere. Um, yeah, we get people from everywhere, and I love it because it's such a unique thing. I mean, I have such a love-hate relationship with technology, as most of you who know me know. And so I empathize with you when some things about technology are so frustrating, but at the same time, it unites us. It allows us to do stuff like this, which is awesome. So, there's pros and cons, but here we are, and it's pretty incredible that we can just have this medium to be talking and to be sharing and to be feeling like we're not so alone, right? And lots of stuff that makes us feel alone. So I'm grateful for it. And Melissa, hi, Melissa from Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah, nice to see you here. And then I got a whole bunch of questions lined up. So yeah, feel free to jump on and let us know where you are in the world, and feel free to put your questions in the chat if you didn't make it in on the emails to me with your questions or with whatever you're going through. There's a lot of ones. I got a lot, so I'm going to jump in and try and get to those. But I will also be checking the chat. And at the end, I'm going to try and get in any from the chat, because I really appreciate you being here, showing up, and being here live means a lot. It has an energy. I can feel you on the other side, even if you're not, even though I can't see you. So I really appreciate that. And it makes it easier to answer your question too if you're here. Because again, just your being here on the other side of this, there's a feeling to that. So, and Christy from Phoenix, Arizona. Wow, you're having usually Phoenix is my hot weather place, but it's been hot everywhere. So regardless of where you are, I have clients who've been talking to me all through Europe, and they're like complaining about how hot it's been and just talking about how hot it is. Some people love it, so it's just different. But yeah, hot places all over right now. Hope you're staying nice and cool, and for those of you ready to move on and transition into fall, we're getting there. So your season's coming up. Fall is my favorite season of the year. There's something about new beginnings of fall, autumn. It's always been more so than January for me. So if any of you feel that, you're not alone in that. I have heard that from some people. So I know I'm not alone in that, but there's something so fresh. And I don't know if it's because of memories of going back to school and the idea of getting new school clothes and new school supplies and wondering who your teacher is going to be. I don't know how much of it is that, but there's a feeling of like a newness to the fall time, when you can just shed the old, and just be ready for the new, the non-sweaty season of summer to the season of fall, and just new fresh starts. So September, let's make it that end of summer, but yeah, beginning of new new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking, new ways of living our lives, and having that feeling of just the freshness, right, of the seasons getting a little cooler. Yeah, super hot. In Phoenix, originally from oh, there we go. So we got a Phoenix connection. I feel you, Christy, with the with the hot. And yeah, I do better. 70 degrees is my thing. I love the 70s. If we're in there, we're good. That's in the 20s for those of you in Europe and in Canada. I'm happy with that. I start feeling like I'm going to melt when it gets about 26. So I'm a wimp at that, but that's okay. I know myself. So that's the main thing. You know who you are and what you are. Hi, Lolly. Nice to see you from South Africa. Glad you could join us. And yeah, feel free to jump in and say who you are. I was saying, for those of you joining, feel free to put in the chats your questions at the end. I'll come to them if you didn't have a chance to get to me. But I'm going to go through the emails because I've got a lot of you in here. And I'm starting with Diane. If you're here, you're going to get these live, which is very helpful too, because you can give me some more information if I need it, if it helps. I'll ask you for that. If you're not here, then you'll get it on the replay and you'll get it then too. So either way, yeah, but if you're here, I'd love to know. Always love to know. So Diane writes to me, I keep getting involved with the same kind of guys, narcissists. How familiar is that, huh? My relationships don't last, but a few years, and that's it. So my relationships don't last, but a few years, that's it. I'm a single mom. My daughter is 14. I have to be very careful of who I date. I just can't get it right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. All right, Diane. Well, you and everyone else, we don't know. When a narcissist is there and we keep attracting the and the narcissist, it's handy to have a label, but essentially a narcissist is someone who is, well, manipulative and charming, right? I mean, two sides of all this. So charming, very charismatic. There is something about that guy, right? Well, and very much all about him covering up his own stuff by manipulating, gaslighting, making you feel so good and then making you feel so bad. You know, all the classic definitions. So the bottom line is, if you're getting involved with a type of guy who is not healthy for you, who is not good for you, it doesn't matter what he is or who he is. If you're getting involved with that type of guy over and over and over again, and you're seeing this pattern, there is something that you are doing that is attracting him. And there's also something that you are very much attracted to. So this is very much within your control, even though it is going to feel like it's not. And it won't. I guarantee you it won't. And that's what I think you're talking about here, is it doesn't feel like anything within your control. It doesn't feel like anything you know how to deal with, how to stop it, how to change it. And that's all the way, this is all on purpose. That is what it feels like. Because when you are with someone who is able to have this effect on you that is so all encompassing, it leaves you feeling like you're pulled in and you can't do anything about it. And that's all part of it. This guy is so charismatic. This guy is so appealing and attractive. And I'll tell you, the main reason that this keeps happening is because you are all that. You are caring. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. You're caring, you're giving, you're loving, you are understanding, you're so compassionate. You are, you're perfect. Right. I mean, you're like, you care so much. You put his needs ahead of yours. You want to, you're there for him and you love that connection. You make him feel so good. But what happens is you can't ever own this guy. You can't ever have him the way you want to have him. And so he's going to make sure to keep his distance. He's going to make sure to just give you enough to keep you there, but he's going to make sure not to give you any more than that. And you are going to keep attracting someone like this because you believe that you just have to be more loving and caring and giving, more perfect, more feminine, more attractive, more whatever it is that you have playing on repeat in your brain about what you're supposed to be. He's going to be able to manipulate that. And what I mean by that is that this guy uses guilt and shame that we have. So tell me how familiar this is. So we're brought up to be so perfect. I mean, to be good little girls, we become women who are so, just always caring about everyone else, putting everyone else first, doing everything for everyone else, just looking out for them, being understanding, excusing bad behavior, just all of those things, right? So if someone says to you, if he tells you that you're not doing something enough or well enough, what's that going to do? You're not going to hear that objectively. So if he's making you feel like you can never do enough, it's because it serves him to make you feel like you're never doing enough, because it plays on your shame. You have shame and guilt around being found out that you're not perfect. If you aren't, if he calls you out on a behavior, if he says, when you tell him, for example, that there's something that he's doing that you wish he could be different or do something different, he'll turn that around on you and he will make it about you. And then you're going to forget what you originally said to him and what the whole point of your conversation was about, meaning that you wanted to see something different. You wanted to see your needs being met in a way they haven't been met. But instead of him seeing that, and instead of you being able to have a conversation about that, which is the whole point of your conversation, the conversation now becomes about you now defending yourself from what he has freshly projected onto you and is accusing you of. And so this becomes circular and it goes around and around and around, and there's nothing that you can do to get out of it, or so it feels once you're in that. And this is the problem. So you become in defensive mode. You feel found out. You feel guilty. You feel like you are at fault for something, and you go into the mode of fixing it, making it better, trying to compensate for it, trying to get him to forgive you for that. I mean, this goes in all kinds of directions. It grows all kinds of legs. But the bottom line here is that this is because you care about his opinion of you, and you care about the perception of you, and you are following some script behind the scenes that says, I have to be perfect, I have to be a certain way, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, perfect for you. And so as soon as you can take yourself off of that kind of scrutiny, that kind of putting the hot seat, as soon as you can come back and be real and recognize, you know what, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to mess up. I am not always going to be as loving and kind and caring. I might even blow up sometimes if I'm holding stuff in too much. I might be resentful. I might be this. The more that you can embrace the fact that you are a whole human being with all kinds of feelings and emotions, and you are not above any behaviors or this idea of perfection, or this idea that you're always going to be this perfect woman who just does everything right and who just is always like the perfect woman that any guy would want. I mean, that sets yourself up for just these kinds of relationships, because you are looking to this guy to validate you and give you worth. The harder he is to get, the higher the stakes are. So I think, because this is what I see all the time, because I don't know more of your story. You've just said that you keep getting involved with the same kind of guy. You've given me very little, but going by the fact that if you're here, if what I'm saying resonates to you and you found yourself here to my channel, to my all of the places you can find me, then you share a lot in common with all the women that I coach. And of all the women all around the world, we could be a club. One of these days, I'm going to get us all together, because we could literally be like a whole, you'll meet your sisters in them, because we all share so many of the same characteristics. And some of these are all around the giving, the caring, the loving, the trying so hard, being the one to do all the work, the looking first at yourselves and scrutinizing all of our faults first before someone else, and making sure we're doing everything so that we can be like as close to perfection as possible. Well, the men that we're with, they are just, we excuse their behaviors and we're understanding of those, but he's not doing that for you. So the most important thing to recognize here is that the role that you're playing is you are the half that completes him. So this becomes full circle. So you give him the energy that you bring to him is that you provide a place for him to bring all his stuff, to get all his needs met. And the more real you can be, the more of a partner, the more of a equal that you can be. This is new to most of us. Equal partner, like we can say these words, but what does that actually mean? It means that you can have conversations that are about your needs, that you don't have to feel like you're like walking on eggshells trying to have these conversations. And so you can say things like, I um I like this. I mean, it really is simple. It starts usually in the beginning. When some guy asks you where you want to go or what things you like, you say something. You actually give answers. You're not looking to hear what's he going to say or what's he about, or you're not looking to first hear where he's at and what he likes, and then all of a sudden you light up with, oh, that's who I am. You come with knowing the full knowledge of who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what things that you have figured out and defined that you need, what things you cannot not have, the way that you need your relationships to go based on past experience of the exact opposite. You have to know all this with clarity up front. My beautiful, Beautiful Confident Radiant You program, they're all in there. Beautiful Confident Radiant You program goes into detail about discovering who you are and what that is all about, and shedding the layers that have been put on you since you first learned that, oh, I'm supposed to be something in order to be loved. And it brings you back. It helps you walk back to that. And at the end of that, you get a session with me to go over it all. But my point is just that anything you can do to gain clarity into who you actually are, beyond who you are in a relationship, beyond who you are as a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, as a friend, as a whatever you do in your career, as a career person, as a colleague, whatever these things are. Who are you underneath all that? The more defined you are, the less you're going to have someone who has the ability to come in and make you feel like you are less than, that you're not on an equal with them. And the more you are going to be able to use the I am this, and it's okay. And so no one, like this narcissist type that you're dealing with, he won't be able to come in and make you feel bad and make you feel guilty, so that everything becomes about you defending yourself instead of you having normal conversations about, hey, what do you think of this? Or what do you, the normal healthy relationships, relationship type stuff that doesn't happen for most of us because we have not been taught how to do that. We've been taught how to be good little girls. We've been taught how to get a guy. We have not been taught how to actually keep a guy, because most of keeping a guy is keeping yourself, getting in touch with who you are, keeping yourself happy, keeping the focus on who you are, what you need, instead of being able to pivot so easily to this guy and his guy's needs, because that guy is going to love that in you. You can pivot to that if he can change the subject, if he can bring it around to him and make it about why he has power and control in this relationship. He's going to love it. He's going to want to stay. You do not want to keep that kind of guy. The only guy you want to keep is the kind of guy who is going to treat you well, who's going to fill your cup too with love, who's going to be the one who meets your needs instead of you meeting all them. So in a nutshell, the narcissist attracts the empath. The narcissist attracts the loving, caring, giving, understanding, that kind of a woman. That is who the narcissist attracts. And that combination will be deadly for you if you don't figure that out, one, and do something about it by taking it slow, getting to know someone, making sure you're inserting you, the I like this, who you are, making sure you're equally as present there in the beginning. And that's how you're going to find out who it is, because it's way too late to find out that he's a narcissist down the road. When you're attached, when you're connected, way too late for that. You've got to find it out early. Time is the only way to know for sure, but it's also what you know in that time. And at a minimum, 3-4 months. You need an absolute 3-4 months. I talked to these women on calls who were like in the first week or two, way too early. You can't know anything in the first or 2 weeks. You need much more from him to be able to tell. And that begins with you remembering, hey, I don't know this guy yet. I need to wait. And yeah, 3-4 months is like before you really know, before you have any kind of a basis to decide who this guy is. You need that time. Okay. So Diane, I hope that's helpful. If you want to give me more information, you can do that. But I hope I've hit some points there with just a few things on there. And hi, Deborah from Venice, Florida. Nice to see you here too. All right. Thanks for spending Saturday night with me. Carolyn wrote in and said, and Carolyn said she's tuning in. So Carolyn, are you here? If you are here, let us know. Otherwise, whenever you get on, you can hit replay and go back and you can hear my response on here. Carolyn writes, I want to know if my guy is sending different signals. Is he pretty much trying to keep me on a leash for just in case? I feel like this is what it is. He doesn't want to commit, but doesn't want to let me go either. The in and out, the mixed signals guy. I refuse to be a second choice for anyone. Also, I need to know the red flags. Thank you. I'll be tuning in tomorrow. All right, Carolyn. So, yes, he is trying to keep you on a leash just in case. Interesting. You said that your choice of words feels like that, doesn't it? Like if you're on a leash, you're kind of not his equal, which kind of goes back to what I was saying to the other woman, Diane, about that. So yeah, it is a just in case. So he's not ready. He doesn't know when he will be ready. He can't give you anything more than that, but he also knows, wow, you're a really good thing. So he's like happy. He's got you. He doesn't want to lose you. So he's purposely making sure that he gives you just enough so that it's not enough to break up with him, but it's also not enough to really believe that it's a full, bona fide relationship. So what you're getting from him is essentially, if I'm ready, if I get ready, if I realize I want someone more permanently in my life, I want you to be there because you're it, which is a compliment. So take it as a compliment, sure. But on the other hand, what this means is you have a decision to make. He's not going to make it for you. You have a decision to make of whether or not it's worth it to be on a leash for him. And your words really sum this up. Say that. I mean, reread what you wrote here. Pretty much trying to keep me on a leash for just in case. You obviously feel a power dynamic here that is not equal with your choice of wording. So how does that feel to have him just keep stringing you along? How does that feel? How does that feel? It doesn't feel powerful. It doesn't feel like you have a say. So you have a say. You take your power back here. And you know what you do? You tell him what you need. You just said, I refuse to be a second choice for anyone. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to tell him that. Okay? You're going to say, these mixed signals that you're sending me, I get it that you're not sure. You don't know if you can commit to me. But that also leaves me in a kind of limbo that I'm not comfortable with because I don't want to be someone's second choice. If you think that there is someone else potentially who's going to be a better match for you, then you should probably go find that, or else decide that you've got enough here with us, and you're going to show up here. But this showing up both places with me and somewhere else and just giving me enough, it's not going to work for me. I can't do this. And that's it. We're so afraid to say that because my guess is it's a fear, right? So don't be afraid to say that because you need to, because otherwise you're sitting here powerless and you're like at his you're at his mercy. You're just you're literally hanging on. You are hanging on then. And so you're clear. I refuse to be a second choice for anyone. So does he know that? If he doesn't know that, he needs to know that. And I will tell you this, the number one way you communicate this, because words are not everything, the number one way that you show that is through your actions. So don't let him keep you hanging on. Be busy. Don't get back to him right away. Not because you're playing games, but because you're busy and you have more of a life than just that. So it's not about playing games. It's about doing that. It's about actually living a life that recognizes, this guy is not fully in your life. Table him, put him on a shelf. Okay. He is temporarily not available. If you want a commitment and he doesn't, because he says he doesn't want to commit, but doesn't want to let you go either, then this is not a relationship that you're not on the same page here. He holds more power than you because you want more from him than he can give you. So what you need to say to him is, with your energy more than anything else, you show him. So you can say, I'm not going to be a second choice. This isn't working for me. But more than that, after you say that, after you establish that, because obviously he doesn't know that, show him with your actions, with your energy. Now, as for red flags, okay, so the red flags are all about time. Okay, you can't know it immediately unless it's blatant. I'm guessing this guy's got subtle stuff. I mean, the blatant red flags are a guy who is still, actively seeing other women. Okay, well, that tells you he's not, a guy who you catch in lies, a guy who tells you right from the outset, I'm not looking for a committed relationship. Okay, like those are the biggest red flags that are blatantly obvious. I'm assuming you're talking about the more subtle red flags. And so the subtle red flags is a guy who is still married, a guy who is not yet divorced. That I can't tell you how many women come to me and for help, and we find out, oh, he's not divorced yet, and they think that that's okay. Or it's usually family, it's money issues, it's family issues, it's things like that. And it's like, there's reasons. Of course there's reasons. But I will tell you, the heartbreak that comes back to bite them is awful. I just talked to a woman yesterday who, we talked about this in the beginning, and there were all the reasons when she first came to me. And she moved on. I think she's got a really good guy now. And that's what we were talking about, her new guy. But the fact that this guy, she realized he broke her heart. Why did he break her heart? He broke her heart because she thought that those reasons that he wasn't divorced yet, she thought that they were good reasons. And they made sense. Kids, finances, all that. You know what? In the end, yeah, she wishes she had seen that and kind of let that go. But, that's what we do. So we learn. All right. So the subtle red flags, I think you got those. But it's really just, it's time. It's how he behaves. Consistent good behavior over time is what you're looking for. You're looking for someone who is talking to you about yourself and talking to you about like his what he's looking for. And not in a fairy tale, like fake way, not in a over the top in the first week way. You're looking for someone who like gradually, this is the consistent behavior over time, someone who gradually talks himself about things he'd like to do and how he sees the two of you and the relationship and things like just gradually over time. And then the other, there's subtle red flags. Does he show up when he says he is? How is he with commitment with on doing things? How is he with his friends? How is he with commitments to anything? How is he with work related things? Anytime where there's like evidence of commitment, how does he show up? What's he like? That's going to tell you a lot. So the subtle signs, or get to know someone's character, like pay attention to things where they are like opportunities to see what someone's like, what are their values? How do they act? What you can know who is a good person or not by taking the blinders off, by recognizing you don't need someone just because you feel like you're getting older and he might be the last, guy who's got, a good job or he's good looking or he's fit or whatever you think is like so hard to come by and he's got them. Don't put yourself in a position where you're not going to be able to legitimately see the red flags because those rose-colored glasses are keeping you staying accepting whatever he's got because you feel he's all that you can get or he's the last guy that you're going to get. Okay, so those red flags really hard to see, but your gut is going to see them when you stop making excuses or when you stop looking at him as though he's like the last guy who's ever going to be attracted to you or think that you're something, when you let go of some of that, you will find everything changes. Things get so much better when you realize, no, not just this one guy, not the only guy, lots of guys who are going to be the right ones for you. Okay. Different phases. And one of those phases is moving on from that to where you need these types of men in your life to make you feel like you have value, like you have worth, or that you can still get someone like that. You'd be surprised at the types of men that you can still get. But my guess is a lot of times you're going to find packaged differently, because that's how most women find their guys. They're amazing guys, and they're packaged differently than they think, because they're not packaged in a way that triggers childhood worthiness issues where you have to prove something to someone. Love is never about proving yourself to someone. It's never about proving something. It is about two people coming together who are on the same page and looking for the same thing, and capable of having a relationship, and capable of committing to each other. And that's part of being on the same page. And everything gets better when you have that. Even if this guy may not be, your ex, who you still have feelings for because he, let go of you first. Okay, there's a lot of stuff tied into that, but I hope that gives you, some of your power back there to just recognize what's going on. And I mean, how does it feel to be kept on a string? How does it feel to be strung along? How does that feel? Like, it feels powerless. It feels awful. It feels like someone is pulling the strings, literally. So how does that feel? And how do you want to feel instead? And then answer to that. Don't answer to this other energy of I'm just stuck here. That's all I can get. Answer to, okay, how does this feel to be what feels like the begging end? It feels awful. So don't be there. And because the sooner you decide you're not going to be there, the sooner you'll be able to come out of that, and you'll actually attract something better than even this. But if you think you don't have a choice, then you won't, and you will stay there. And that doesn't feel good. And we don't want you there. Okay. All right, Carolyn, I hope that helps. And if you want to add to that, you can add to that on here too. Okay. Next one is from Annette. And Annette wants to know, how do you move forward and find love after being destroyed by a narcissist? I don't even know how to start looking for Mr. Right. I keep praying God will drop him on my front porch, but it has not happened in the last 3 years. Just need to know where to start. Yeah. So it's been 3 years and you are just feeling so low, just destroyed, right? How to move forward from that. And I know it'd be easy. Just drop him in right there on the front porch right there. Okay, Annette, I feel you on this one. And there's, I think, a line of women here who all feel that too with you. Moving forward after being destroyed by a narcissist is so hard, because they not only, the biggest loss, the biggest infliction of pain is not just having that relationship gone and destroyed. It's what it does to you. Because when you're with someone like this and you have just been depleted of everything, you come out of that so low. And so it's your self-esteem, it's your outlook, it's your self-confidence in who you are. It's all of that. You question yourself, you question your ability to discern who's good, who's not. All of this happens when you come out of that. So, Annette, what I want to say to you is that this is a time for rebirth. This is a time to recreate Annette. Whenever we are, it's literally like being taken out by a wave, right? Just completely overturned. Just a wave tosses you. You don't know which way is up. You feel like you're drowning, and you come out of that wave until it's happened. And you're like, where am I? And everything is disoriented. Everything is off. Everything. So what I want to tell you is, you start by recognizing this is an opportunity for you to change everything that you ever thought you knew about relationships, to change everything that you ever thought love was, that men were, that the perfect, so-called perfect person for you is all about. This is an opportunity for you to take all of that and throw that all away, throw that all out. It's not working. It's not working. And as long as you have feelings about that I just need to do this or I just need to do that, and you're trying to get back up the same way that you went down, or the same ways, the only coping ways that we know, it doesn't work, because what you're going for here is a complete rebirthing of everything that you already thought you knew. So what I would invite you to do is to look at this as start over from the beginning. This is a time for you to start fresh by asking yourself, who am I? Who was I? Who was I that got caught up in that? Who was I that fell for this guy? Who was I that allowed myself to be so taken in by him? And you're not alone. And this isn't your fault. This is not your fault whatsoever. This is not your fault. This is pre-programming that sets it up so that you're vulnerable to a narcissist in the first place. This is not your fault. But what it isn't is something that you have zero control over. It's not that. You have so much control over this, because what you can do is you can look at this opportunity as your moment to get in touch with who you are and who you've always been, and you've just missed this person along the way, because she has been waiting for this moment. She's ready. She's primed for it. You don't feel, I'm sure, like you're ready. Okay? But you are ready. You have been ready for this. This is why it happens. None of this stuff happens for no reason. Okay? None of this. These things, these relationships you get into, and then the deep heartbreak that comes after that, these never happen ever, ever, ever for no reason. They happen because if this wasn't going to happen, then you would just be continuing on the same path you were going on, and you would not come to a point where you have to have this moment to relook at everything that you have ever thought is this end is up. This end is not up, because what you were doing before obviously was not working, but you were doing the best you could. You were doing the best with where you were at and what you had learned and the way you've been conditioned, what you've been programmed, what we've all gone through. Okay? As when you care so much, you don't see that part and you just want to make it work. But this guy was hurting you. And being with him was hurting you. Anytime that you can be with someone who can destroy you, okay, that's not someone who's good for you. That's not someone who has your best heart, your best interest at heart. That is not someone who you should ever be with. But we get all these blinders on, and and they come across, right? They come across in a way that we don't realize it. So you want to find Mr. Right, and you keep praying and it's not happening. I want you to go back to who you were. And I want you to start looking at those interests when you're around 9 or 10 years old. I want you to look at, what were you interested in? Who were you back then? There was this beautiful picture I saw on Twitter, I think it was. But this woman had found this picture of herself when she was 9 years old. And she was, and she posted this picture, and she was saying about how she found this in her dad's slide collection or something, and she had retrieved it from that and had it, whatever they do to put it there and make it into a proper picture. But the memories that came back to her of this little girl and how fierce she was, and just strong. I mean, fierce, I think, is the wrong word, because it's who we were naturally. Like, as little girls, we were like, the world was just, wow, so many things we had questions about, so many plans, so many dreams, and no one yet who had put on us yet, or who had completed the process yet, that, this idea of who do you think you are that you're going to even do that? Like, who do you think you are that you can accomplish that or make that happen? And so go back to that. Go back to that little girl. Like, who were you back then? Because I know this can be cliche, and you hear this everywhere. Yeah, go back, discover who you were, and then everything falls into place. Well, I know what that's like. I know how long of a journey that is. I know how involved that is. And I don't think you have to do this deep stuff to find someone. All I think you need to do is go back to who you were before you were attracting narcissists, okay? Before you would let yourself be destroyed by someone like that, because he came as a wolf, in sheep's clothing, and we're vulnerable to that. We are, because we don't say no when we start seeing little signs. We excuse them. We don't see those signs as real signs. When we see those things, we think, oh, I can fix that. I can be the one to make it better. It'll be me. I'll be the woman who gets this guy because I'm more understanding or I'm more whatever than his ex, right? I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but we have absolutely been set up to be competitive, to compete with other women for a select, limited scarcity supply of men. Right? I mean, that's all in there too. So there is a very simple way of just going back to who was I before I would have been attracted to someone who could pull the wool over my eyes like this, to where I would not see these things because I was more concerned with making sure that he loved me, or making sure that I could get him, or making sure of these other things. So you're going back to when he was not more important than you. That's the bottom line. You matter. You matter so much. You're not going to find someone who is the right guy for you until you are ready to identify what that is. Otherwise, you can meet a guy, but I don't think he's going to be the right guy because you're still growing. And there is nothing worse than meeting a guy with where you're at right now, growing into who you're going to grow into, and discovering you've got the wrong guy. Like, talk about not Mr. Right. That's really Mr. Wrong. So if you just want a guy, if you just want Mr. Right, and he's Mr. Right for who you are now, and you just don't want to be lonely and you just want to be with another guy, you can meet that. You can find that. There's lots of guys like that. But if this is taking longer, I will tell you this, Annette, it's taking longer because you're meeting a better kind of guy. You are setting yourself up this time for something much more healthy. You're done with this narcissist who destroyed you. You're done with all of that. And you are looking for someone who is going to be so much better for you. So look at this time as I'm going to get to know myself. I'm going to talk to strangers. I'm going to talk to people I don't normally talk to. I'm going to give other people a chance. I'm going to look in places I've never looked. I'm going to discover more about my life that I never understood before. I am going to do things. I'm going to use this time to focus more on developing my interests and figuring out the things I want to do, because then you meet people through mutual things and mutual interests. That's what you're going to do. Okay? Because this time is there for a reason. It is not there because it's just idle time for you to just, be heartbroken over him. This is not a waste. This is not a waste. This is, do you want to meet a guy who's where you're at right now, or do you want a guy where you're going to get to? Okay? But I know it's hard. I know it hurts. And it's hard because your last memories are this other guy. Let the other guy go. Do a ceremony if you need to. Whatever you need to do to release him, do that, because he's not the right guy. And all of these types who would be like him, and it's the fact that we're attracted to these types of men. We have to change being attracted to them by recognizing why we're attracted to them in order to go forward with not being attracted with them again. Okay? And you change one thing. If you just start with one thing, that will be enough to throw everything off kilter, because what you've been operating with is obviously the same MO, right? So change one thing about that and it'll be different. All right, Annette, I hope that helps. Yeah, because that's hard. Okay. Laura and Deborah, yeah, you're right. If they tell you they are confused, yeah, help them out. If they're confused, staying around, waiting for them to be unconfused is a waste of your time. If you walk away, you can still walk away by caring about them still, loving them still. But if you tell them, while you're confused, I am not confused. I know what I want, unless you're confused. But if the both of you are confused, then I don't know. I don't think you're confused. But honestly, if they're confused, end the confusion for them, because you bring the gift of you not being confused. So shed that light on this for them. Well, you're confused. I'm not confused. I know what I want. Maybe soon you'll catch up to me. I mean, that's powerful. Okay? Yeah, that's what we do with confusion. We bring our not confused, our non-confusion. That's what you bring. And that, I mean, that's a light. That's beautiful. Okay, do that. All right, Laura. Laura, not sure if you're here. Yeah, right, Melissa? Yeah, that resonated with you. Laura, I'm going to answer yours. And you wrote to me and said, is the only ideal situation to find a man who wants to marry you? What if you want true love, but you're past getting married and living together? Ooh, glad you asked that. There's a lot of women who their bar, their measure is not necessarily marriage. They've done marriage. They've done that. I know a lot of women who really want to meet someone, who really want to meet the right guy, but they're okay with like long distance, or they're okay with a little bit of distance. They're okay with keeping separate homes. Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. I have kids whose stability I do not want to risk by marriage or living with someone. Oh, you are a good mom. Wow, you're thinking about your kids. That's awesome. It always seems to start great, but there's no way to really know if this is right for the whole family, my kids and me. Okay, Laura, I love you already, because that's like, yeah, because it's it is so, the upheaval, right? That's hard. That is really hard. And yet marriage also is something that can be such a natural desire to get married too. And especially if there's, depending on what religion, you are, that comes into this too, that can add more layers to this. So it's all in there. You figure out who are you, right? So what do you need? If you know that you are, I got a lot of women who are Christians, and I got a lot of women who are spiritual different ways. If you know you got to get married, then don't pretend you can't. You got to get married, okay? Or else you got to figure this out within yourself first, okay? But if you know that you need marriage, yeah, then you figure that out. That's what you need, done. But if you, like Laura, are figuring this out and seeing the reality that, yeah, it is a lot to move someone in to a household. It's just a lot. Kids didn't ask for your partner. They didn't ask for some new guy who's now spending time, all these copious amounts of time with you, and now he's expected to have his own role within that. Yeah, that's a lot. That's not easy answers. Okay, this is not so black and white at all. But I admire you, Laura, because you're recognizing something that I hear about all the time, and that is how hard this is on kids. And it is hard. And we can't deny that. And I think tiptoeing around that and pretending that, everyone will get better, or it'll all even out, or it'll all be meant to be, it'll all smooth out. Yeah, there's something very real about acknowledging this. So, no, the only ideal situation is that you find someone who's looking for the same situation as you are. That's the only ideal. You find someone who's on the same page as you. Whatever that page looks like, you find someone who's on that page. If this is where you're at, that's what you're looking for. You find someone like that. You put it up front. If you're dating online, you got an online profile, I would say the same thing. Okay, I would put that on there. And I will tell you this, of the women who feel that way, this kind of puts you in a category all your own, because you're defining it differently. Most women all want marriage. The majority, or at least that's what most men hear. That's what most men are going off of, right? The reputation that, oh, she's going to want to get married. So a lot of times that puts a lot of pressure on them. The fact that you're saying you're actually past the whole getting married and living together, and you understand you want something different that works for both, that works for your family, and then depending on what he's got, if he's got a family or whatever, you got this figured out. So it's just, I would be really specific about this, because like I said, this puts you in your own category. I think it'll make it easier for you personally. What I have seen is the women who have more specific things that they are looking for, it puts them in their own category. It makes it easier, because it's different from the norm. Anytime that you are different, and it can be like this with the things that you are looking for, or the type of relationship. But it also can be in all kinds of different things. But it's anything that is different from the norm, and what the the stereotypical things that a guy hears or that he's got ingrained in his mind. Bring this, advertise yourself like this. I mean, essentially, you put yourself out there like that is what I mean. And so if you're on the dating sites, say this. If you put that on somewhere, or even, and if you have conversations with the guy you're meeting and you put this out there, you are going to attract a whole different level of man. Because what you're saying here is you're in reality. You're going to get a guy here who's in reality too. Because that statement where you're saying, basically, I'm looking at the reality of the situation and I have kids whose stability I don't want to risk here. They're still young. And yeah, you're right. I would put that everywhere, and I would carry that energy with you, because so much, I mean, yeah, these words are powerful, but it's also having, and by energy, I just mean back it up, right? Like your actions, have your actions back that up. But what if you want true love like that? Yeah, you're more likely to find it because you've got clarity. I'd be more curious to know what has prevented you from doing that if you've done some of these. So feel free to write in. I'll answer it next time. Or you can book a session too. But what I'm more interested in finding out is, have you done this? And has it not worked? And if that's the case, like, why? Because this and that's what I will help you see. Because honestly, this is so clear in here. And it also very clearly says who you are, that unless you're not sure, like that sometimes happens. Like we put it out there, but then we're not sure, like, oh, but does that mean because I'm saying something different? Am I going to be too whatever, right? Insert your word. Am I going to be too whatever? And then we pull back. So that can be kind of a mixed, not as clear in energy. But I'm seeing clarity here. So I'd be curious to see what isn't clear about it. All right. Okay, Laura, great question. And I think you speak for a lot of people who are recognizing, a lot of women are recognizing that, they've just gone through this and they've seen what it does to the kids and that, and they're looking at, okay, well, I want to be married. And yet, so you figure out what works for you. How does this work for you? Okay. Next one is from Flickerine. I hope I'm saying your name right. I love your name. I love fancy names. They always challenge me. So if I'm not saying your name right, please let me know. But she writes, I met someone this summer at the dog park. I love the dog park for meeting people. Any of you who have dogs, well, I guess it just depends. You got to go to different dog parks. I have my favorite dog parks and I have my least favorite dog parks. I have my very favorite dog parks. And I love the people I meet at dog parks. Yeah. So women and men, like just people. But there's a lot of really good men that I've met at dog parks. Single men too. Anyway, just an aside about dog parks since you brought that up. I didn't really notice him at first, as he didn't strike me as attractive. But after a few times crossing paths, we started talking. And through talking, I started to really like him and started to think he was really attractive. We've talked for over an hour many times, and I find him extremely easy to talk to. Even when I approach with nerves because of my crush on him, as soon as we start speaking, I feel really calm. So he's got a grounding effect on you. So that's interesting to notice that already. This has never happened to me before. Usually I'm a complete weirdo because of nerves, or just so excited because I'm hitting it off with someone. He's going through a divorce right now, and I'm working on getting my longtime ex out of my basement. Ooh, that adds a layer. Okay. I haven't been this interested in someone for 20 years, and I'm feeling things I haven't really felt in a long time. I'm really enjoying getting to know him and spending time with him, but it is all by chance at the dog park. We have similar schedules, so I see him a lot. So here's the question. What do I do? I'd like to spend time with him that we actually plan, even if it's just as friends. I don't know whether to ask him to do something or let him do the asking, which he may never do. I don't want to miss out on more of a friendship with him, but I also want to put myself in the I don't want to put myself in the friend zone and wait for him to be ready if he's just not interested. I can easily imagine him getting together with someone else when I've been pining over him silently for a long time. I'm tempted to just get it out in the open, but I don't want to scare him off. Should I be trying to date other people? It's hard to feel interested in anyone else. Should I invite him to hang out in a group, or invite him to a party or hike with friends? Or should I leave the inviting to him? I haven't had a real date in 10 years. The only other times I felt interested at all, I put myself out there and was rejected. This thing feels more real, but I fear he may only want friendship. Until meeting him, I'd have said I wasn't looking for a relationship and didn't care if I'd never have one again. But I wasn't feeling up for anything more. Since meeting him, I have felt something wake up, and I can see I actually do want a boyfriend, someone I love who loves me. I'm not looking for marriage or even cohabitation. I'm just coming into a fuller independence and care for myself and don't want to lose myself in anything. But I do want love and fun and adventure, even if it doesn't last forever. Sorry, that's lots of information. I'm just trying to figure out how to move forward with this. Don't be sorry. It's okay. Details are helpful. I've been wanting to invite him to hang out with me beyond our meeting in the park. I'm willing to just be friends with him, but don't know if bringing up that conversation is the best thing to do. I've been focusing on enjoying it as is, but will get caught up in just wanting him to like me. Thank you for your course. I'm beginning to see I've never had real love before. I've had adoration, infatuation, in which I completely ended up dissolving myself, and I've had putting everyone else first in the hopes that my love and sacrifice could heal everyone and make everything good. Yeah, hearing you. Wanting something different. Thank you so much for your input. Okay, so I got to tell you, your gut instinct that he is just looking for a friendship, and that coupled with the fact that he is going through a divorce and you have a longtime ex still living with you, even though it's in your basement, which kind of is not the same, but it kind of can be the same. I think because he has not initiated anything, I think right now he is at the friendship stage. If you're being clear, that if you're being friendly and borderline flirty, if you're inserting some flirty with the friendship, with the friendly, and he's not responding at all, he's not ready. My gut is he's going through this divorce. If you've shared with him kind of where you're at, I think he's just enjoying speaking with you right now. You know what I would honestly do? I know it may feel you've given him some time and you are worried about him because you could see him just going off with someone else. I think if he did just take up with someone else all of a sudden, I think it would be short-lived generally, because I think it would be something that was just like a very much an attraction that just felt exciting to him. I think what you guys have is much more stable. I think it's much more of, like you said, it's more of like a friendly thing. So as long as you're being a little bit flirty, and what I mean by flirt, a little bit flirty in there, I think it's obvious, but if it's not, I just mean like, it's just a little bit playful. So a little bit playful. And then watch what he does with that. If you get nothing from him, then stop and just be the friendly. Just keep doing what you're doing. Because if you insert a little bit of the flirt, and my guess is you've got a little bit of that already. If you've done that and you haven't gotten any kind of a response from him, I do think that your gut here is right. And this is just more of a friendship. And I know you really feel this, that you want to be able to talk to him, or you want to be able to like meet him, plan it, right? But the fact that this isn't coming from him right now, it doesn't seem like it's at the right time for him. And he may be wondering if it's the right time for you. So, but that would not negate, if he wasn't sure, he would ask. He'd be a little more direct than that. He would be a little bit more curious. If you're not getting anything, then he's good where things are at. So just enjoy the friendship, enjoy getting to know him. I think that is so much more valuable than anything else. I mean, he's come from a marriage. He's used to having someone who he can who's like a friend too. And so some woman may temporarily be able to sweep him off his feet temporarily and get him to take action because, there's an attraction there. But I don't think that is going to go anywhere. I would not put any faith in that going anywhere. So don't be afraid of that. Don't let that make you feel like you got to move faster, and just take your time with that, because I know that's really hard. But what I'm envisioning instead is what I've seen a lot of, where a woman puts herself out there and asks him out, or just like is the one to kind of initiate. And it just goes badly because he isn't ready, and then it's awkward. So what I would do, test the subtle. Again, A little bit flirty, see his response. That's how you test it. You could even say something like, hey, we could get our dogs together and go for a doggy. We could go for a walk sometime with the dogs or something, because I'm assuming you meet him at the dog park. You both have dogs. So something like that, if you get a non-response on that, or he glosses over it, or you get something where he says, yeah, that'd be fun, but no follow-up from him, you've initiated. You've already done that. You've already put yourself out there. So don't do any more than that. Do you have a right to? Could you come right out and ask him out? Yeah, you could. But I've seen too many times where a woman decides, okay, I'm just going to put myself out there. What that guy, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to do that. And it just ends badly, because then it's awkward, and then she loses like whatever they had. So yes, you could. You have a right to, but does it serve you? Is it in your best interest? That's what I'd be concerned about. Okay. So I hope that helps. And yeah. Your ex who still lives with you in the basement, no less, that might be more of an issue that's coming up than you realize. But I understand. And with the cost of living and everything right now, I do understand it can be harder to have those separate residences as maybe it was used to. But that may be hindering you or just holding you back. Or there may be something there too with that may be making this more difficult. So anyway, we'll talk about that. You get a free coaching session with me at the end of the program that you mentioned. So we can talk about all of that at the end there when I'll meet you there. All right. Okay. Next one is from Lori. Lori, I'm not sure if you're on here. I might have seen you there, but okay. Lori writes, Jane, I was completely devastated by a relationship breakup. Even though we never had romantic interludes, we were best friends. But I did think he was just attracted to me, and I to him as a friend, maybe more. I'm just looking for a partner. And although he had never been married and was 67, I thought somehow we'd be good together because we went to the same high school. Oh, is this a reunion? I get lots of these where I hear you get reunited. And anyway, I'm going to keep reading. I thought somehow we'd be good together because we went to the same high school. We had the same sense of humor. We would talk on the phone for hours about serious stuff and funny stuff. He was my best friend. And then he just disappeared after sending me a funny obit with a redhead in it. And I texted back, maybe she, the woman who died, wrote the funniest obit about herself, had a daughter or niece he could meet because he had a thing for redheads. And just like that, he was gone. Now I invited a homeless man to live in my garage because I'm a Christian, but now I have feelings for him. He works, but can't afford a place that will take his 2 dogs. He's younger than me by more than 10 years. I basically just want a partner who I like, and he likes me more, and someone to do things with. Thanks, Lori. Okay, Lori. So speaking of inflation, cost of living, all this stuff, okay? We all know the world that we're living in, and in a lot of ways it's gotten harder for people. And so first thing, as I'm reading through the rest of your email to me, I want to make sure you're safe. I want to make sure you're good. You got this guy you invited to live in your garage. I know all about being a Christian, but at the same time, that also means you got to look out for yourself and take care of yourself. And you also need to not, just because it's Christian-like, to reach out to someone who needs help. That doesn't necessarily mean as a single woman bringing him into your garage. So I guess I want to first make sure you're safe. I love that you care about dogs. Dogs have a soft spot in my heart too. And if I see any homeless people with dogs, oh, that's like the hardest thing. So I share your heart on that. Okay. But I want to make sure you're safe. I want to make sure you're making a wise choice here. So I want to make sure someone else with as much empathy and compassion, but someone who's more objective, check in with them and get their feel for this. Okay. And make sure they've met him. Get a feel for that. I want you to have some outside objective opinion person to be able to decide this. So this is a separate thing. This other guy left because and that understandable. It was devastating. However, so I think it sounds like that got too close, or he didn't like your sense of humor. And if that's the case, well, you've got your sense of humor. If someone doesn't like you, because of your sense of humor, well, What are you going to do? Change who you are? No, you're not going to change who you are unless you really think there's something the matter with who you are and you want to change it already, but change it for yourself. Don't change it for someone else. Okay? Change it for you if you need to. But it sounds like, maybe that, yeah, so either the sense of or just that particular, funny thing about it, he didn't find funny. Maybe, and maybe too, so this is the other part. Maybe the fact that it might have just seemed like a casual joke. And you said, well, maybe you should find the niece or someone of that person or daughter because, one, they'd be younger, but because they were redhead and he likes redheads. So maybe that to him felt like your interest, that you're kind of, you're not interested, or you're saying, oh, go be with, someone else because we're not going to be together more than that. So, you know what I would do? I mean, I don't know how long ago this was, but I would say, hey, I realized that you left after, my joke about that. And I meant it as a joke, but I think I might have offended you, or I also might have been insensitive to you and I. And maybe I want to make sure that I didn't overstep, funny. I didn't overstep my, joking around. So maybe you can clarify. Just let me know where you're at, because I would hate to lose you and lose our friendship and lose what we had because of my insensitivity to this joke I made with you. Okay, so that's what I would do. I would put something in there. I would say something like that to him, because it just seems like for him to just leave like that, gone. I don't know if you had any communication. You don't say that if you had any communication after that, but I would ask him that. I would just be direct with him. And I would just say, hey, I think I might have, just admit it. Just tell him where you're at with this, and be real with him, and then see what he says, see how he responds. Okay. Because that's on that. That's one thing. Because it would be hard to get over him because there's unfinished business here. And I think you feel bad because it left like this, right? The two of you left like this. So on that note, that's a tough note to leave in. So that's what I would do. Next, I want to get to this homeless guy, though. So make sure you get this objective opinion of someone who knows him, someone who is connected here, who can give you some objectivity, but could actually meet him. I can't meet him. I don't know. But I want you to be safe. I want to make sure you're okay here. And then, because what it sounds like, you've got feelings. I guess my question is, how many men do you develop feelings for? Like, is it if someone pays attention to you? Is it someone that you could possibly help rescue? Is it like a rescuer's thing? I mean, I guess, like, how clear are you on what you're actually looking for versus just wanting someone who you just want companionship, friendship? You're just lonely. There's nothing wrong. If you're just lonely, there's nothing wrong with being, choosing someone to just not be alone, but just know what you're doing, and your criteria may not be as high. The bar may not be as high. You may just want, but I guess what I want to say is learn to read your feelings, that you can have friendships and it doesn't need to be relationships, because that can complicate things. It sounds like you might have had a nice friendship with this other guy and it just got misinterpreted. Just something happened there and there were just misinterpretations, and now it's like you're feeling embarrassed, or he's, whatever's feeling. No one talked about it. Communication is so important. And so I think it's having communication that would be really good, to have communication with and with this other guy. I mean, you're letting him stay in your garage. So once you've established that he's safe, don't look as it is you need to have feelings with all these guys. You don't have to have I think it's too early and too premature to say you have feelings for everybody. Because it feels like that. It feels like, depending on, as long as you've got someone that makes you feel less lonely, then it's easy. And I could be wrong. You can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but it just seems like, that you can go from him to this one, that maybe when you can save someone, that gives you like this burst of, the dopamine hit, the feeling in your brain that is a real feeling. that oh, this feels so good. Someone cares, someone loves me, someone needs me, and those can all translate into this is love. So I would look at the feelings that are coming up for you and love to figure out what it is that's going on here, because it sounds like there's more than just helping people or meeting people in these ways, but it sounds like it sounds like maybe separate like the difference between companionship, friendship, and these feelings, romantic feelings. A lot of people are so much better off just having friendships, recognizing they're lonely, especially older people. If you recognize I'm lonely, I don't need to get in, the complications of relationships. I can just find friendships in a whole bunch of different places. I can find companionship in different places. And you can just figure out what it is. Again, clarity goes a really long way. What are you actually looking for here? Because it sounds like, communicating about this stuff would be really beneficial. And I can help you do that. I can help you do that. If you want to book a session, I can help you communicate, because we're not taught a whole lot of communication. And so you're not alone in that. But yeah, Lori, I hope that helps. I hope that gives you more to go on here, because I'd like to help you with that, because that's really hard. And it's hard to feel, brokenhearted over this guy. And then, you're sound like a very generous, caring woman. And that's beautiful. But I want to also make sure you're taking care of yourself and protecting yourself and getting your needs met here, and not just, jumping in with whatever you can offer someone as a means to get them to like you or to want a relationship with you. Sometimes if everyone is clear and it becomes, either transactional, like what you're looking for, and you're able to offer different things that to each other, that can work. I mean, but you got to have conversations. You got to communicate to be able to figure that out. Because there's a lot of interesting relationships out there that don't always fit the little boxes, but you got to communicate in order to get into one of those and to make those work. Okay, Amanda. Amanda writes, how to not be so needy. How am I supposed to act to be a good girlfriend he wants around more? Oh, the neediness, it comes up. Amanda, I hear you. And that is, it's really hard. How do we not appear needy? How do we not lose a guy because our neediness got the best of us? Oh, I talk to women all the time, usually after the fact, about what happened. And that is hard. It's the after the fact piece. So I want to tell you, so you've got someone already. Remind yourself, no one knows how this is going to go. Nobody. He doesn't know. You don't know. No one knows. It is how the two of you interact together. It is how the two of you communicate. It's the dynamic between the two of you. It's how things go along. That is going to be what determines whether or not this is something. It's all about the two of you. So it is so important. Do not just put this on that I'm supposed to act a certain way in order to get this guy. But what I would do is I would just take out of this that you're supposed to, that there is a level of neediness that's acceptable. What I would do is I would just look at the fact that everyone's insecure in any relationship before it reaches a certain established point that we're together. Until that point happens, you're going to be needy. You're going to, but you call it needy. I would just call it, I'm going to be normal. I'm going to be normal. I'm going to feel insecure. I'm going to feel like I'm not going to be at the top of my game. I'm not going to feel so self-confident. I'm not going to feel so, my self-esteem is not going to be that high in the beginning, because I'm kind of walking on eggshells a little bit. Like, I want to make sure it works. Like, you're reflecting everyone who's new in a relationship. So first of all, just acknowledge that. Okay. You obviously care about this guy. You like this guy. You want it to last. You want it to work. So accept that, but also remember, and you didn't tell me how long it's been. If you're on here, if you can let me know. But if you're listening to the replay, or again later, If you've been together for a while and you're still feeling this way, I would ask yourself why. Like, what is still making you feel needy and insecure if you have known each other a while, right? Because that can be a red flag more than the beginning stages. If it's the beginning stages, though, you need at least 3 to 4 months. Okay, and I'll come back to your question on that in the chat there later. But you're going to need to know. You're going to need 3, 4 months to know. I'll tell you how he wants to be around you more by you remembering that if this is going to be something, if the two of you are actually compatible, then you don't have anything to worry about at all. And you can just trust that everything is fine unless you have blatant red flags, actual signs that things are not. So go with that things are going to be fine unless your gut is telling you they're not. And then there's a reason. If your gut is telling you, I mean, yeah, it could be insecurity, but the kind where it's insecurity, you're going to know because the feeling that something's wrong and it's just because of your past, if you can look in your past and see this as a pattern, then chances are it's the insecurity. If you can see that it's a guy who's very similar to all these guys in the past who have made you feel needy, maybe it's the guy. Okay. So you look at why am I feeling this way? What's coming up for me? Is it me from my past? Or is it this guy is making me feel this way because he reminds me of these other guys from the past? But I would just go with that everything's fine until it's not, or until your gut is just signing, just showing you everything possible and just, sounding the alarms that something is not good, something is off. But if that isn't happening, just know this neediness in the beginning is a totally normal thing and it just takes a while. And at some point, it's going to get better or it's not. And if it doesn't get better, it's not because of your neediness. It is because there's something real in here that's happening that is beyond just that beginning time. Because if you're constantly feeling that you need validation, you're feeling needy with someone, there's a reason. Okay. And so how are you supposed to act if you want to be a good girlfriend? Well, the twist of that is stop acting like you need to be a good girlfriend and stop believing that you're supposed to act any certain way and lean more into who you are and be more of who you are. That's what I would do. If this guy's going to like you for you, that matters. I will tell you this. I so regret so much more. And I know so many other women feel the same way too in talking with them, but I have so many regrets about trying to be what someone else wanted me to be in order to keep them, in order to get them to want me around more. Because I dragged out bad relationships. So if you are dragging out bad relationships because you are tiptoeing around who you are and you're trying to be who you're supposed to be, you're wasting far more time than it would take to start over with someone new. All right. That is a lesson, a hard lesson to learn. But when you look back and wasted time, there's so much time we waste tiptoeing around, trying to be something we're not, because you can't be compatible in the long run with someone who is not interested in who you are. And if you got a little bit of insecurity or neediness in you, and it's just natural from your background, from what you've been through, and you got a guy who's really insensitive to that, and you got to pretend that doesn't exist at all. I'm not talking a lot. I'm just talking a little bit. You got the wrong guy. You got a guy who's looking for perfection from you, and you're not here for that. There are more women who are trying to get out of really bad situations where they got into something based on some idea of who they were supposed to be rather than who they are. That's just heartbreak. That's just setting yourself up. Then you just get deeper in, it gets harder to get out, and you're with the wrong person and you realize that, and it's awful. So more of you, not less. But just remember, this is also normal. So you don't need to exacerbate it by feeling like, what's wrong with me? And then that just makes you feel more needy and more. So you're normal to feel that way, and then just separate that out. Okay. I hope that helps. You can give me more detail if you want to, how long you've been or whatever, and I can answer it next time. All right. Barbara's got a question here. Barbara asks, she wants to know how to find the right guy online. Okay. Barbara, how do you find the right guy online? Okay. I talk about this at least once a day on my calls because everyone wants to know how to find the right guy online, because online has clearly got its challenges. Lots to sift through, lots to choose from. Um, the main thing on that is just know it's a marathon, not a sprint. Okay. It takes a while because there's just so many online apps now. There's so many more people online. It's like the key way that people meet someone these days. So you got to sift through some of that. You got to remind yourself, be prepared for that. It is not just going to be, it happens. It can happen quickly, but at the same time, you're going to probably have to sift through a lot of different guys. The main thing you want to do, I have found that women who are clear about who they are and what they're looking for, it's like I talked to with someone here who was very clear. An earlier question, I forget who it was, but the more that you can clarify who you are and what you're looking for. So the more he sees himself in what you're saying you're looking for, and the more that he has a clear picture of who you are, the easier it's going to be. But there's still a lot of players, there's a lot of fakes, there's a lot of bots, there's a lot of guys who just want money, there's a lot of all kinds of things out there. You're going to have to sift through some of that. But the clearer you are that you are not a magnet for that, by not being vague, by not being, basically setting up a profile that says anyone's invited, because I don't know really what I want. Throw what you got at me and we'll see if we're a match. I'll know it when I see it. That type of stuff, you're going to get those guys. So you're going to attract all of those types because that's what they're drawn to. Any place that they can see themselves. So you want to make it harder for them to see themselves if they're like that. Okay. And then what I would do is I would try out different apps. Some people love Match. Some people love, some people really like Tinder. So shockingly, I have met a lot of people who have proven me wrong about Tinder in the beginning. I was not a Tinder fan in the beginning because of what I heard from you, but there have been more matches on Tinder, surprisingly, for marriages than I ever thought. I think it's, universe's way of kind of opening my mind on Tinder. But yeah, I know lots of people have gotten married on there. But Hinge is also a new up and coming one, or it's not up and coming, but I think I am liking that better. I'm also liking I'm liking Meet Mindful. I've met a couple women who have met their guys, their matches, their partners on Meet Mindful. Any of the niche sites, JDate, if you've got religious preferences, there's a host of other ones, but try out some different ones, get a feel for how they are, and see. I mean, obviously, the first time you try, you're going to get tons because you're new on there. But being as honest as you can and doing up a profile, I can help you with profiles, but doing up a profile where you are clear and you paint a picture of who you are to make it interesting and where a guy can, again, see how he's going to fit into your life, and where, it's clear on what you're looking for. And then I think the biggest thing is don't be caught up in some guy who's clearly like you really have to be able to separate out who is just some guy, some player, some guy who's just, coming on and seeing, feeding his own ego, and doing this with every woman. It's hard to tell those, but you will be able to tell eventually. You definitely do not want to develop feelings for anyone that you haven't met. I get that a lot. I'm reading through, what they're telling me in an email, or I'm talking to them and I'm like, whoa, wait, you haven't met yet? You've got to meet someone. You got to meet someone before you feel strong. I mean, you can feel strongly for someone and you can, not know really anything about them, but you can feel strongly for the way they make you feel, the way they talk to you. So just go slow with that. And, but I really think the clarity is the biggest thing on how clear you are with that. And just know it may take a while. It may take a while for you to yeah, filter through all of the ones that are going to still find you attractive from what you're saying on there. Okay. So that's a big part of it. Make sure, yeah. And again, I can help with that. I can help you figure that out. But yeah, there's definitely a sorting through it and figuring that out. There's a lot of people on there, a lot of men on there. So good luck to you. And yeah, let me know. Yeah, let me know what you're doing that isn't working. Do that. Let me know what isn't working. Okay. Let's go to Lynn. Lynn says, what do you do if you've got a guy sending you mixed signals, which makes you do crazy stuff and scare him away? Okay, so the fact that you can recognize crazy stuff that you're doing that scares him away because he's sending you mixed signals, you know your trigger. You are triggered by mixed messages. This comes from having a insecure attachment. So when we're brought up where we never know if someone is going to be happy with us, pleased with us, if we're going to gain their love, or if they're going to be upset with us, mad at us, and we're going to incur their wrath. So mixed signals play right into those triggers that come from growing up like that. And honestly, if you're on here and my messages are resonating, the majority of us had those mixed messages that come from that insecure attachment growing up. We never knew where we stood. If we were a good little girl, yay, we got some positive reinforcement. If we didn't, and we got what we wanted, we got love. If we didn't, oh, we got the wrath, the disapproval. So just know this is a trigger. It's playing into that. It's the same thing. So if you're doing crazy stuff and scaring him away, the problem is the mixed signals. They are triggering you. You need to be with someone who isn't giving you mixed signals. And that is just the bottom line here, Lynn. You can't be with someone who is giving you mixed signals. And that is just the way it is. It is way too hard on your nervous system. It brings up all the stuff from the past. It's going to trigger you. You can't be with someone who's sending you mixed signals. You've seen what it does. It makes you do crazy stuff and scare him away. Okay. You've got it all right there. You answered it. You solved it. You've got it. I'm just going to confirm by saying it out loud. And filling in the blanks for you to turn it around into an actual answer that you sent me. No mixed signals from a guy. It's too triggering, wreaks havoc on your nervous system, causes you to do crazy stuff and scare him away because it triggers you. Done. Now, if it were only that easy to get over someone like that or to let go of someone like that, but I will tell you, you're doing yourself no favors by drawing this out. Okay. Not as much as that can be hard to do to let go of someone like that. You got to do it. All right. Mixed signals, it's showing you that way. Okay. Okay. Lee wrote, which dating site is best for serious 60-something quality men? Ooh, I know some men on there where the men are. So I can tell you there's some 60 something men who I hear from. I get men who write into me a lot of times about how to meet quality women too. So I will tell you, the majority of these men, they are on, they're on Match. But the thing is, they're really hard to sift through. See, they go on Match because Match for them is the most. They're looking for, they want to increase their chances of finding the right woman. They're really sweet. So they go on, but I will say this. Okay, Meet Mindful also, it does tend to attract more serious-minded. It's just the ones who are 60 and over also. Yeah, I mean, you know what? It really is more up to also what you've tried, because they're on everywhere. Okay, they're on all these. I wouldn't say they're on Tinder. They're not on Tinder. If you're on Bumble, you're going to get someone who is more, they're going to want you, they're going to be more comfortable with a woman taking the lead. Are you comfortable with that? So generally they are not that old on, yeah, they're, so I think the best bet is go with the big ones first. Go with eHarmony and Match. If you're not finding something from that pool, then what I would do is I would narrow it down to some of the other. Try Hinge. Have you tried Hinge, Lee? That's, I've experienced more and more women who are finding more success with that of all ages. I can tell you that a lot of women over 60 are getting more involved in like discovering like their interests and things. And they're meeting these men in, as more things have opened up over the past year, they're meeting men doing the things that they really like doing. There's a lot of women who are in the older ones, and they're finding the more they're discovering who they are, right, and their interests and doing those things, they're finding men are out there too doing those things because men want that connection too, even if they don't always admit it or say it. So yeah, so that's my experience, but yeah, try and see. And yeah, I might do a poll and find out, because I've got a lot of women who may not necessarily be on here who've met their guys. They're happily coupled. So I may do a poll and I'll let you know. Okay, I'll post that. Okay, Amy. Amy writes, I'm definitely interested. Oh, she's interested in this. Amy. Our time. Thanks, Kelly. Our time. There you go. I'm definitely interested, but I will say real quick, I'm getting to you, Amy. I will say some men, so the men that I have talked to don't want to be pigeonholed into some of the more older ones. So that's why I'm saying they are not on there, because they don't want to feel like they are older. But that also speaks to how comfortable in their own skin are they. I mean, there's so many things on there, but try these and try Our Time. I mean, you want a real man. So you want a man who's going to go on the one that he, is he's not just going to be looking, he's going to want to be on something that's narrowing it down. And so is he in touch with who he actually is? So yeah, try that. Thanks. Amy, back to you. Thank you for hosting this. She writes, I'm definitely interested. I'm struggling at the moment. So Amy writes, my ex-boyfriend of 3 years has untreated depression and was not open to getting help. While I understand I'm unable to help him, he has completely ghosted me and broke up with me after some behavior changes. He just stopped texting and calling even after I offered to talk. It's unacceptable. He became mean at the end. I'm so upset, mad, and so hurt, even though I know there were things that weren't okay. It doesn't make sense. He said he's not himself anymore, and everything with me is too much, that I don't deserve this, which is true. He acts totally different, and he's so great on social media and to others. How do I get through this excruciating pain? I feel numb and so empty. Thank you, Amy. This is really hard because untreated depression or just any mental health struggles are really difficult. What I want to say to you, Amy, is, clearly he felt out of his comfort zone. He felt uncomfortable with all this. He didn't know what to do. He felt powerless. I mean, all of these words, right? He felt powerless. He didn't feel like a man. Men are supposed to have it all together. They're supposed to, this is like written into their manliness, right? And this is what we're trying to change. Allow them to be human. Allow them to not always have it all together and all that, and give them resources for that. So we're trying to change all that. But currently, what you're dealing with here, it's not going to make sense because he does not feel sensical. He does not know what's happening. He doesn't understand it. He feels weak. He feels like he can't talk to someone. He feels like he has nowhere to go with this. He's not getting the help he needs. So he's, everything you're saying here, except that he knows he doesn't want to hurt you. He knows this isn't fair to you. The way he acts, please don't take the way he acts with others and on social media as the slap in the face it feels like to why he can't be with you, like that there's something wrong with you or why he's treating you solely like this. He's treating you the way he does because he's closer to you. He feels he can be more vulnerable with you. He's giving a front. It's a face that he's giving on social media and to everyone else. Two separate things. Don't get stuck in that. It is not the same. Okay. But what I would say is how you're going to get through it. You feel numb and empty because what else are you going to do, right? You're going to numb yourself to kind of get through it because you're in shock, clearly. How could you not be in shock? He's not open to getting help. You did everything you could. So go there, okay? Go to that. What else could you have done that you didn't do? What else could you have done? Ask yourself that. If you did everything you could, this is not in your hands anymore. He has something that's bigger than you. You know, I so much of depression is caused by the environment, the the world we live in. These men are not necessarily mental health, extreme cases by any means. They're just trying to cope in the world. I mean, I remember reading something on Twitter. This guy tweeted this beautiful tweet. My husband actually found it because it was beautiful. And this guy, he tweets, don't talk, where the men that I can talk to about your, tell me about how you feel about things, what you're doing to cope with, what you're going through, and tell me how you feel. Tell me about the things that you miss, or the things that, anyway, it was instead of just talking about the game, talking about our lawns and what we're doing and all this other, the macho guy stuff, right? Instead of just talking shop, instead of talking about the football game, all this, tell me who you are. Tell me, what makes you scared. Tell me what makes you cry. Tell me what makes you, and he basically had to shut down. He locked this tweet because he said he got such hate on there. And he had so many people wrote in and were like, oh, I'm sorry. And, they were so supportive and all that. He got a lot of those, thankfully, but he got so much hate for what? For not being a guy's guy, right? For not being the man, all that. And yet so many men are craving that. So it's not his fault. Allow me to step on my other soapbox here and go on my rant. But I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, men don't have a whole lot of resources. Men are not allowed to be that human. And so the depression is just a helplessness, a sense of helplessness over that. There's not a whole lot of avenues for them to go to get help, to be seen. So when you see him acting so great and different on social media, well, that's his comfort zone. And so with you, he could go deeper. And yet at the same time, he's still living in the world. So maybe you gave him a green light to be more himself, and maybe that was helpful. But then what did he do with the rest, right? I mean, that's the conundrum. It's like he felt safe with you. You might have been his only safe place in the world. And so how does someone reconcile that? How do you? And he may have thought no one was going to be able to help him with that. So ask yourself what you could have done differently. Recognize this is bigger than you, and know that all the support you could give him is as far as it could go. You already showed him that. If that is not enough for him, that's not enough for him. He's the discerner of that. He's the one who decides that. And unfortunately, you can only be there for support and all that, but you can't actually fix this for him beyond what he feels within himself. So I think there's an acceptance there. Once you have determined you did everything you could, then you accept that, and you accept that you did everything you could. You accept that you did the best, you did what you could do. And then from there, you recognize that, you find your peace in accepting what is. And what is he's determined this. This is the way it is. He's determined this. If something changes, I'm sure you'll be the first to know. I don't know if this will change anytime soon. None of us know. So what I would do is I would look at it. There's no quick fixes. It's hard. Feeling your feelings, tears, crying, you're going to need to do a lot of that. There's no shortcutting the tears, the way that we need to release. We need to release. We need to let that go. You did what you could. He wouldn't get help. Being a friend to him, if you can be a friend, I don't know. He ghosted you, right? Yeah, he stopped everything. So I think he feels probably too seen by you. And it's too much. It's too much in contrast with everything else. Not yet. We're not there yet. So you choose to move on, and you choose to accept. It's kind of the whole thing where you accept, you find your peace in acceptance, because you're not going to change him. You accept the fact you've done what you could. You've asked yourself, is there anything more you could have done? If there is anything more you could have done, tell him, hey, I just want to reach out one last time. I see you. I feel you. I care. I just want you to know, or you go another route, you go the fun route, and you're like, hey, there's this great movie that's out, or hey, there's this event that's on. Do you want to come with me? I could use some company. You go the lighthearted, fun route. But you accept the fact that may be all, you may only be able to do light-hearted fun with him, light with him. That may be all. And then you accept that. That helps the numbing. It helps because you're in shock. I mean, it's a blow. It's a, frontier system to recognize this is it. All right. And yeah, it's hard. But acceptance of what is, instead of the imagination that just runs away, and the idea of what we think we could be finding or getting or what we could be different, stay out of that. Stay with what he's showing you right there in front of you. Okay? Go with that. It's hard though, Amy. I feel for you. Okay. Donna wrote, why do I feel like my world is ending? Because I don't have somebody in my life who literally did not treat me any better than he would treat a dog. What is wrong with me that I can't get past the situation? And why do I always find myself getting involved with the same exact type of person? Okay, well, you're worth so much more than a dog. Don't ever allow, we want to treat our dogs really well, but yes, humans should be a little bit ahead of that. But we also don't want to, it just sounds like you've been just treated bad, and that's not good. We don't want that for you. What is wrong with, there's nothing wrong with you that you can't get past the situation. When someone is upsetting to us, when we are devastated by having someone in our lives like this, it's devastating. We don't get over them easy. And what do? We go to the one thing we can control, which is our behavior. We beat ourselves up. We self, we're horrible to ourselves. We're mean to ourselves. We treat ourselves really, really badly. So you can't get past the situation because it obviously meant something to you and you obviously care and you feel. And it helps to ruminate. It keeps the person there. Like, recognize ruminating actually serves us, even if we don't think it does. We do it because we feel at least some semblance of control. We can regain some control because we can think, if only I had done this, and if you can beat yourself up and go back over it, that's familiar. That's comfortable. Most of us spent most of our lives beating ourselves up. So doing that feels comfortable. So you can keep doing that. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with you. This has been a theme. How do I not get involved with the same type of person over and over again? Whether he's a narcissist, whether he's just a type. I want to say the same thing that I told those other women there. If you want to attract someone different, you have to do something different. Meaning you have to recognize that what you're doing, you're attracting the same person, the same type of person, because that is your type. Because you want that, you're drawn to that type of person, you're putting something out there that keeps attracting that type of person. So what you want to do is you want to change that up, even just starting with one thing. So you look at it as, if I want to attract a different person, then I have to try someone different. I have to try something different. So this means stepping out of your comfort zone. It means mixing up even just one thing of what you have been doing. So if you're only dating online or meeting online, you find some things you want to do and you go and join some things to meet someone that way, or vice versa, if it's the other way. If you are attracted to a certain type, you find someone who's a different type. You mix it up that way. You be curious about whether someone who's a different type might be interesting or something, hold something for you. Okay. If it is, if it's a look, if it's that type, if it's something that sends your, just lights you up, you think, okay, so someone who lights me up this way is not necessarily a good thing because I keep attracting someone like that. So you resist that and you look for someone who doesn't light you up that same way. It's just mixing it up, creating a different energy in this that changes it. And then it's your mindset. It's looking at getting clear. What has been attractive to me in the past? What are those things? Clarify those. And then find someone who deviates from that, who is not that, who's different from that. Again, clarity. You've obviously got some real clarity about your type. Why is that your type? Like, pick that argument apart. Why this person has to be your type? Why this is your type? Why do you keep attracting that? There is something in there is working for you. Figure out why. What is working for you about that? You can't attract a different type of guy until you reach a point where you recognize this is serving you. It's working for you. Why? You might have to dig a little deep with that. You don't have to spend too much time there because the point is to look at, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? So that's what I would do. Yeah. Okay, Donna. All right. I'm going to go back real quick here in the comments because someone mentioned about the 3 to 4 months, and I wanted to answer that because you've been on for a while in case you have to hop off, because I still have more to get to. I'm going to do a couple more real quick. But I want to answer this one. The 3 to 4 months, does it apply to getting to know them if they're narcissists? Do modern daters wait that long for intimate moments? Okay, well, here's the thing with that, okay? Dating may have changed. A lot of people jump in bed right away. A lot of people get intimate right away. You can. It's a lot of people are doing that. It's. I mean, we can say it's modern, right? I will tell you this: modern or not, you go at your own speed because it is up to you. There is, if you're going by what you have to do, that society or the culture or the current dating culture says you have to do to get another date or to get this guy to stay interested in you, you're following the wrong path because you do it on your terms. You become intimate on your terms when you're ready. If you're doing it because you should and you want to keep a guy, it'll backfire. A guy will always wait for you if he's the right guy for you. If you're both on the same page, he'll wait for you because you're going to be doing all these other things in the meantime, and you're going to be getting to know him, and you're going to be, I mean, it's not just going to come down to, is she willing to be intimate with me or not? So, you know, the 3-4 months, I mean, if you can sleep with someone, if you can be intimate with someone and not be so attached that you can still detach enough to know, you're really not going to know for sure anything more until 3 to 4 months. You know, then that's what you choose to do. I talk to women all the time who tell me, I can't wait 3 to 4 months. I need to know. You know, and I say, okay, well, then you know yourself, but also have your eyes wide open. You really won't know for sure until at least that time. I have some women who've decided they wanted to see it as a test, right? If he's only interested in one thing, I want to find that out. So I'm going to sleep with him early. Okay, that's their rationale. That's their logic. You do what you have to do for you. Don't do it because someone says you have to. I mean, the best thing is to wait until you know that, you know, you're doing it for you, that you could handle whatever happens. If you can't handle whatever happens and you lose this guy, you're going to be so much more connected. Because I talked about this before and it was an eye opener for some, but men get more attached after they're intimate. Women, no, men get less attached. Men have more of the, sorry, I said that wrong. Men have more of the ability to detach. Men do detach. They're done. They got their conquest. They're done. Women, we get so much more attached. It's biological. Okay. We feel that it happens. It's been proven. So not just anecdotally, but it's actually scientifically with the, whatever happens with the serotonin, dopamine, all that stuff. So don't do that. If you can't handle, it not going and becoming more than what you want it to, then don't. 3 to 4 months. It's a long time for, it's a long time to have to wait. It's a long time to have to feel like, oh, is he going to, you know, still, am I the only one who's making him wait? You know, you're on the same page. It's just around that 3 to 4 months. It usually takes that long before someone reveals their true colors. It's not, they can only keep up a front for so long. It's up to you. You got to do what you need to do for you. But I will say, the number of women who end up with their heart broken because they got involved too fast, they were intimate too fast. What would be so much better is if you go so slow, in terms of keeping your own life, in terms of still dating other people, that you are just getting to know him. And it's not like a full-on relationship where you've thrown everyone else out and he's it. He's your guy and all your focus is on him. But I will say this, you will also know, if you really listen to your gut instinct, if you look at his past relationships, where he's been, what his patterns have been, if you are really reading the right things without those rose-colored glasses, you're going to have a feel for who he is a lot earlier than that. And you will. But you still have to figure out, you know, how much is your heart in this? What are you willing to lose here? What do you know, what happens? The best thing is if you can just separate the feelings that you're feeling where you want to, you know, all of that incredible shiny stuff in the beginning and the adrenaline rushes and the, just the feeling, the spark, the connection, the incredible connection. If you can remember, that's just one part of this. Everything else matters too. The level head, the more you bring a level head to this, the better for you, because you need that level head to stay in there, to keep going, in order to not get so caught up in this. Okay. So yeah, anyway, does that help? Ren? Okay. I hope it does, because that is, yeah, you're not the only one asking that. Usually women are asking in retrospect, and it's not easy, but you can do this. Okay, good. Good. Glad it helped. And yeah, a bit, right? Because it's one of those things. I mean, how to help you figure it out. There are no guarantees. There are no guarantees. I think that's the biggest thing. There are no guarantees for either one of you. Does it help to feel more of an equal, to understand that it is also hard for you to know how committed you are, how much you feel? I mean, it is hard in the beginning to know as well that you're going to feel the exact same way. I mean, you can look at it, you can be like, okay, I'm going to feel the same way because I'm really, I really enjoyed this guy and get to know him. And, what I see so far is really good. And you don't know that for sure, even about your feelings. So maybe it's the human piece. I feel a lot of this is missing, is the human piece of this, that everyone's human here. Like, we're all in this, and we're all human, and we're all trying to figure this out. And if you can think of him, take it down off a pedestal. I mean, a lot of times we just automatically put a guy up there, right? Because he can choose us. And if you can think of it as, we're equals here. We're equals. If you can't talk to him like a normal human being, something's not right. You want someone who can talk like a normal human being. You don't want someone who's up here. You want someone who is like, someone you can talk to, someone who's real, someone who shows his human side. You want someone who's got all those things. If you can't talk about stuff like that, it's not like you're this person, you haven't dated in 12 years, and you're not finding anyone you're attracting or you're attractive to. It's like there's a balance. So maybe you're getting out of the way the ones that you're not attracted to. So maybe now you're coming into the next realm where you can pinpoint, okay, what you're not looking for. Now you can find what you are looking for. So maybe you're coming into that. Yeah, you know what? If you're coming off this fresh and you're kind of looking for the rules, that's the other thing. That is the other thing, because since you mentioned a narcissist, if you are looking to find the rules, if you're looking to find out where are the lines, where do I color in the lines here, which a lot of our personalities are, we're looking for someone to tell us what to do. We're looking for someone to tell us what's appropriate. If you're looking for someone like that, you will absolutely unknowingly fall into a narcissist. If a narcissist is around, hopefully you're not going to find a narcissist everywhere. But if you are looking for someone to tell you how you're supposed to behave, instead of looking here in your heart for how to behave, and I can teach you that, because it really takes listening to who you are and knowing who you are first. That's the key thing. Who am I? You can't listen to yourself. You can't trust yourself if you don't know who you are. And I know that's cliche, but we'll go into that another time. But the thing is, yeah, if you go looking for the rules, someone who comes along and's got it all figured out, who has the rules, who makes it easy for you, you are going to be attracted to. Yeah, that makes sense. Someone you were surprisingly attracted to out of the blue. We will be attracted every time to a guy who just makes it easier for us to live in this world. If he makes it easier for you to come off dating, and yeah, oh gosh, yeah, when you're not even looking to date and he catches you unaware, that's the hallmark. You know how many women I hear who have said, I wasn't even attracted to him. I wasn't even looking to date him. And there he was. And now I'm hooked. So yeah, the narcissist type, the player, the emotionally unavailable guy, the guy who can't commit, whatever, all these things, they lurk in the catching you unaware, right? They swoop in. You're looking, you're confused, you're looking for Where do I fit in? Who am I now? Yeah, so that's the other thing. When it's, yeah. So remember, men are human. Don't put them on a pedestal. Don't treat them like they know better. Some guy who, even whoever I was talking to on here, and whoever, if this guy grounds you, like that's a great thing to be with someone who grounds you. But at the same time, that also allows them to have a certain amount of control over you because you need them. Any place where you need someone, where they can offer you something you feel you can't get on your own, or it feels so refreshing, so much of a relief, they've got power over you. Watch that. Okay. Watch that really closely. I have a feeling that's something that happened to you, Ren, because when you're doing your own thing and yet you've got this kind of question in your mind of what to do, you're not a know-it-all, which is a good thing, but you're not, this overconfident person who comes in. That that guy can feel some power over you and he can use it to his benefit. So, yeah. 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 So that sounds like if you can see that in the, yeah. So he reached, yeah, awkward to not, yeah, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's going back and forth. I mean, when he doesn't have his supply from you, his, adrenaline supply, that doesn't help because then he's going to feel like, oh, I need to get back. I mean, that's when someone comes back and circles back after they ghost you, right? It's like, oh, I want to know she's there. And that's the hanging on, and that leads you to all that. So, yeah. Oh, that makes sense. And so what I would say is define your rules first. Define for yourself what you need first so that you aren't looking to some guy to come in and tell you the rules. Because a guy like that is going to come in and tell you all kinds of things. And he's going to be able to just ride right over anything that you say and think and feel. He's got the answers, and you're going to have already assigned more power to them than he already deserves. Yeah. Yeah. And he'll know you're worth more. But yeah, so that's key here to remember. Anytime, and that really applies to everyone else on here who has ever wondered why they keep attracting the narcissist types. When you go looking to when someone makes it easy for you because they come along with some ready answers like, oh, no, we can't wait. No, I've never met a woman who would wait, 3-4 months to be intimate. What do you feel? Right? Guilty, right? Ashamed. Oh, I thought that was okay. If you don't know that that's okay first, that's just one example. But if you don't know something is okay and you're kind of looking for some guy to give you permission or to let you know it's okay without you giving yourself permission first and defining it for yourself first, you're going to walk right into the trap of a narcissist. He's going to make it so much easier for you. He's going to tell you, he's going to spell it out for you. These are the rules. This is what you do. This is what it looks like. And you're going to be active prey for him. So don't do that. Define yourself first. Figure out what your rules are. What are you comfortable with? It doesn't matter. I don't care if every other woman is sleeping on the first date with some guy, and they're not. But I don't care if he tries to tell you that. They're not. But, don't even give that a second guess. That obviously is not right for you. Don't let it be. Okay? All right, Melissa, here you are. Melissa's got a question, and I'm glad you're here. I think you're still on here. What do you recommend for me who's averaging one date a year and who has a history of attracting unavailable men? I'm 50 years young, not 50 years old, 50 years young, never been married, never sustained a relationship for more than about 10 months, and who always expects rejection because that's been the majority of my experience with men. Okay. All right, Melissa. So I'm going to fill in the blanks here for you. Okay. You've got a pretty clear idea of how things are going to go. And I think it's to protect yourself from any more rejection, right? So if you expect it, it gets easier. Then you won't be surprised. You won't have to explain it to anyone. It won't be as devastating. So you're attracting rejection. You only date, once. and they're unavailable and they're all, okay, so we got to switch this up. So my advice applies to you here too. What I said about changing something, change your type, change what you're attracted to, change, just try something different. You're not saying I'm going to lock in this type now. All you're doing is you're just mixing up some things. You're just going to mix it all up and see what shows up, see what you get, see who it is. So what you're doing is it's a different type. You're going to get the non-rejecting type. No more rejections. You're not getting someone who's going to reject you. If all of these types have been emotionally unavailable and the rejecting types, you don't want that. If you're only going on one date a year, that's ensuring that you don't get rejected, but you're also ensuring you don't get into a relationship, because you can't get into a relationship with someone who's emotionally available if this history is just keeps repeating itself. So I think what I want to ask you is what do you want more than anything else? What do you want? What are you looking for? I don't think you're looking for one date a year, and you're certainly not looking for unavailable men, and you're not looking for being rejected. There's nothing wrong with you, but I think there might be some messaging here. This is not your fault at all, but I think there might be some messaging here that you're bringing that says, this is what I get, and I don't get anything more than that. And I want you to watch that, because when you assign what you get and all that you get, and it keeps showing up, you've got this ingrained pattern here. You are setting the parameters around what you get, what you're worth. So I would be really curious to know what you actually want and how close you've got that in here than just this. And how closely you're sticking to what you want. Do you even know what you want? I guess that would be the other thing, right? Because how much of what you want is what you've been told you're supposed to want? Like, I have a feeling there might be this whole other side of you that you haven't quite tapped into yet. There's a woman who's now going on her second anniversary or third anniversary. She was 50 years old, I think 51, 52, never married, never had a long-term relationship. And she started out with me, and we were just talking about some of these little things and just helping her to recognize that this guy that she wasn't sure about, she thought she might blow it again, or she just wasn't sure. She wasn't sure how to read a couple things that he was doing. And she literally just tweaked a few little things, but one of them was clarity. She got super clear. And then she also got afraid. She got unafraid of communicating directly. And so there was a little thing I remember where she didn't feel comfortable initiating. He was into football, but not a heavy, it was just like there was a Super Bowl game. It was like, he's not like this diehard football fan by any means. But anyway, so she wasn't sure. She had to check with me because she wasn't sure if it might be too forward given the relationship for her to ask, or for her to say, hey, I can bring over, the chips and popcorn and I'll, we'll watch. She'd just been dating him a little bit. Anyway, so we helped her to get her head around how she was defining what was okay, permissible, like what she had permission for, what she could do in a relationship, what was okay with initiating between being too forward, and her comfort level with that. And there had been a little miscommunication where he wasn't sure. She seemed a little bit aloof to him, but it was more that she wasn't comfortable with initiating. So we told her, just do the chips and popcorn thing. That's what I told her. And let's see. Anyway, that was a real icebreaker. And I will say I think they're like on their second anniversary. They've been married. And yeah, it's like there's more where that came from, because a lot of this is just being more of like that self that maybe you think is going to get rejected. It's going to get more of these behaviors that you've had than less. It's going to get you more rejection. It's going to get you more of the emotionally unavailable. Like, I know when it's been a while, it's hard to assume it can be different, but I would love to see like more of you coming out in these relationships and more of who you are, more of what you want, more room for you than them. Does that make sense? I don't know if you're still on here, Melissa, but more of you filling up that space with you rather than letting him come in and be more of him, or just having more room for him than there is for you. I guess, is the equal you? Are you coming into this so there's two equals here? And like where rejection is not going to be an issue, because if he's going to reject you, then essentially you will have rejected him because you're obviously not a good match, and you will do it amicably and understandingly. So that's what I would be. I'm just super curious because, and I guess I want to rub off some of that curiosity on you, to be curious about who are you underneath this. And, you know, just, yeah. I don't think you've ever been rejected by someone who was actually worth something worthwhile, like who you would have actually had been in a tangible relationship that was a good relationship for you. So, I mean, what if we start there? What if we start there with, do you think it's possible that you've never actually been rejected, but you have been like saved from getting involved with someone you should never have been involved with? Because that's a real thing. Anyway, some things to think about. Let me know. Yeah, I'd love to talk more with you on this. You got me super curious, and I'd love to have that curiosity come over for you too, and just to not accept what you have been accepting, and as just the way it is. Okay. Anne popped in. Hi, Anne. Anne popped in to remind me, hey, I sent you a question, and so let me know when you're going to get to me. I know you're late over there. Okay, here's the question. She got right down to it. Understanding it's our responsibility to fulfill our own needs. Yes. It sometimes gets tiresome, constantly seeking light and fun outside of our main relationship. A lot of women want to sit back and relax, knowing that at the week's end, they have someone to be carefree with, whether staying in and watching a movie or going dancing. Yes. That's compatibility. And I'm going to come back to it. They want their relationship to be their main hub. We also understand the importance of hobbies and friends and activities outside of that main relationship. Yes. When the relationship shows up wonderfully as the person is your rock, always there when you need them, but having more practical, stable, conservative characteristics with the lighter side being met with more resistance, what are some ways to take care of your own needs, to feel the feelings of adventure? What you're lacking, right? Adventure, exploration, romance, being carefree, and yes, even limerent feelings in one's own life with your partner as the main hub. Is there a way to balance this so one is not always seeking those things from girlfriends, hobbies, and alone time? Or is that backwards, old-fashioned thinking? Is it codependency showing its ugly head again? Is it always one or the other? Stable, conservative rock, or Mr. Fun Guy? Is it realistic to think there is some middle ground? Yes. Okay, so I want to tell you, Anne, because I think this is resonating with a lot of women who I've talked about the same thing too. Compatibility is the biggest thing. You can keep going and keep going and keep going and keep looking for the guy who's going to be the perfect guy for you. Okay. And you can keep doing that. But at some point, the question is going to be, do I have enough of what I'm looking for? Do I want to keep going on the search? And so most of us at some point, we recognize that what we've got is enough, even if it's not perfect. And then we discover, okay, how much is it enough? And can I tweak this? And can I still expect this and all that? And I think it really is like negotiating with yourself almost, like, do I really have enough? And do I need more? And how much more? And so everything you say is correct. And it's correct in that we hunger to have this all with one person. Not outdated, old-fashioned thinking. Definitely that is part of our programming, to believe that one person can be all that. We can also just keep going and keep looking for more compatible people. So you find someone who is all that. But you're never going to find this idea of the perfect person. This perfect person is a perfect person, at different stages It really comes down to, um, it's just this compatibility. Like, you can meet Mr. Right for you at all kinds of different stages. You could have met Mr. Right and he would have been perfect for you in one way, but not in another. I mean, it's just because, yes. So one thing we can agree on, the perfect person, the absolute perfect person, is the perfect person for you in some given stage and some type of person who you are. If you are multifaceted and you are at, you're growing and changing, and, you're going to find different people at different stages, and you're not going to throw everything out throw that person out because, there's obviously enough there. So I think what you're saying here is it normal, and is it okay? And should I be doing something about it if I feel at different times that I need to be with, that this one guy is not everything to me, that I have doubts, that sometimes I feel like I need something different. And I think what that comes down to is for you to figure out that you need to do something. You need to resolve this here. You need to figure out what you want to do with, I mean, this is a long-term thing. Is there enough here? Is there enough here? There's doubts that come up. There's, compatibility stuff that comes up. Can you ever be fully sure that you have the right person when he's your rock, but he's not the fun adventure and you have to get him out of your comfort zone to try and do that? Do you ever know for sure? Does anyone ever know for sure? I mean, you're asking a lot of really good questions here. And I will say this, it is, two things. It's compatibility, and it is old thinking that one person is the be all and can be. You have to look at compatibility first. Is there enough compatibility? You can opt out anytime. Anytime. If you have enough of the compatibility, if the things you've prioritized as being the most important in terms of compatibility are met, you've answered that, but everything else may not be so perfect. And you will have to decide what you want to do with that. I think you have to come to terms with what you've got. If it is not enough in the long term, if you are growing and changing and discovering that you are just stuck where you are, you have to decide what you want to do with that stuckness. And you have to decide if it is serving you more or less by continuing to stay with the compatible person that you've got, who feeds you in so many ways, but isn't everything. Is this something that you are going to be able to get past in your mind? Or are you going to feel like you're holding out? Are you going to feel, because, I mean, if you've come right out and communicated this, first of all, and I know Anne, so I know some of the backstory here. So if some pieces, so I'm trying to answer this specifically for Anne. The general takeaways would be that Anne and I did a lot of work on compatibility. Anne and I did a lot of work on figuring out, is she with the right person? That was already work she's done. If you're in this and you're just starting out, you got to do a lot of questioning, asking yourself, reaching the conclusion that you're with the right person. If you've concluded that and that is changing, you have to look at what has changed, how much has changed, and is it worth it now for me to do something different here? Do I need to find someone else? Do the things that I decided were the absolute things I needed, has that changed? Do I still need those things? And is this person still the best person to provide it for me? I guess what it really comes down to is there is some middle ground. There is middle ground. The fact that this guy cannot do it, he cannot reach that middle ground with you. Is this a time to revisit that? Is this a time to step out of your own comfort zone that you've gotten used to this now? And you need to find someone else. Can you be looking without cheating? That's another valid question. Can you be looking without cheating? How would that make you feel? Looking without cheating just means being open. You're not sleeping with someone. You're not dating someone. You're just looking without cheating. Okay? Only you will know the ethics and the morality of that, what that feels like, what that looks like to you. But I will say there is a balance out there. But there will always, with the caveat that there will always be things that you don't get 100%, and there will always be things that you do get that are unexpected out of the people that maybe are not, someone who wouldn't necessarily have expected it from. So I mean, it's just, I think it's just this idea of the perfect person. I would accept your choice and know that if you're resenting your choice, or if you're feeling like your choice has changed, I would look at that. I would go there, and I would also ask yourself, do you really want to step out and start over? If you feel like, because I'm going to tell you, yes, there is, that balance is out there. I know a lot of women who have that balance. They love that balance. If that balance is what you're looking for, and it is more important to you than what you're getting out of this relationship, then you should go and check that out. In a way that makes sense too. So maybe you first check it out within yourself, taking a look at what that looks like, going back over that path. What does that look like? What does that mean? So first with yourself, and then what do you need to do to find that out about these experiences? What do you need to know? It is one thing to keep having to draw this from yourself and friends and all that. And that can become labor intensive. You just want it. You want to come home at the end of the day, at the end of a tough week at work, and you want to know that this guy's going to meet you. You guys are going to go do something fun. If you don't have that, and that is just like killing your spirit, I don't know if that benefit that you're getting, you have to look at if that benefit of being with someone who also is doing that to you, if that is what is happening, if that's worth it. All right. And it sounds like a bigger conversation, but I'll start. Yeah. We'll start with that. All right, Anne. Yeah. Okay. Then I've got Tammy. Tammy says it's been 5 months since her ex went AWOL. I sent me a text with no words. An empty bubble 3 weeks ago. I don't know how to move forward from this relationship. I know I deserve so much more than I got. So why is this so hard, and how do I let it go? Okay. Well, anytime someone, I think it's natural instinct, Tammy, to not be able to process that. How do you move forward? That's really hard to move forward. 5 months, he went AWOL. Yeah, nothing. Okay, so it's so hard to let go because you didn't get your answers. Okay, that's why. So that makes perfect sense. Of course, we need answers. Look at how much we talk with our girlfriends to get answers, right? We need answers. He's not giving you answers. So that's why it's hard. How do you let go? You insert the blanks here. Okay, he literally gave you a blank. Blank. He didn't give you anything. An empty bubble. Text message. Okay. I don't know what happened that led up to that. I'd be super curious. If you're on here, let me know. But if you're not right now, how to move forward from this relationship. So you accept the fact that you got nothing. You fill in the blanks with, okay, so I think this is why. With what I know about him, what I know about men, what I know about myself, what I know about the relationship, I think this is why. If it's not why, this guy is not doing me any favors here at all, not even doing the bare minimum of communicating something with me. This guy could ghost me. And then if a guy could ghost you, okay, who does that? Instead of looking at, what did I do? What could I have possibly done to do this? Look at, who does this? Who does this? Who? Who does this? That's your answer. Who does this? No one. No one caring. No one loving, giving. No one does this. That's the part that you take from this. Who does this? Okay? Nobody. Nobody does this worth holding on to. No one does that worth holding on to and trying to keep it going. Something obviously stopped going a long time ago. I don't know how long you were with him. but not what could I have done different? What did I need to do? But who sends no words? You're probably a wordy person. That's probably especially excruciatingly painful for you. Okay? So, Tammy, this is so hard because you've got someone who dumped this all on you. The fact that you're here saying, why is this so hard? And how do I let go? The fact that you can't let go of someone who does this tells me this guy did a number on you, or he took advantage of this that was already in you, where you were already trying to do something and trying to make it work and doing all this work. Okay, you don't deserve this guy. Like, you deserve so much better. You don't deserve someone who would be so just disrespectful and just so undignified in his, I mean, who treats you like this? Okay? You need someone. The bare minimum. The bare minimum. Okay? If someone decides he doesn't want to be with you anymore, first of all, he didn't just end it like that. A text with no words. But that's going to hold you up. That's going to hold you up because you're going to feel, because this is what we do, we're used to putting this on ourselves. What could I have done? Someone does something to us and we look at it as, oh, what could I have done differently? Okay? That is your programming. That's all it is. It's how your brain has been wired. We got to rewire that. And that's what I am here to try to do. Rewire that brain so that you understand. You didn't come into this world with a brain like that. You didn't come into the world with your neural pathways formed the way they did, with this idea that someone could ever treat you like this and that would be acceptable. That is not the way your mind works. Okay? Not in its natural state. So that's a whole other conversation. But that's why it's so hard. How you let it go is by recognizing there is nothing about someone who could end things like this worth hanging on to. Okay? Someone else, something else, starting with you. Okay? Recognize. So what I want you to look at is, why was this so difficult for me to let go of? Why was it hard for me to see that some guy who could treat me like this, who could end things like this, couldn't just be cut off like that? Like, why was it so hard for me? I want you to ask yourself that, because therein lies the answer to everything that's wrong. And it's not you. It's not your fault. I just want you to understand that because you didn't understand this, this is why. You didn't understand this because you rightfully couldn't understand this. I mean, there's a reason we don't understand this. And it's not because of you. Okay? It's not your fault. All right, Tammy. If you want to add more, you can let me know for the next one, okay? Or book a session with me. I'd love to talk through this more with you, but I hope that helps. All right, Lolly, I'm getting to you, because Lolly, if you're still on here, I think we're going on really the middle of the night, so you might have gone to sleep, but where you are. So Lolly says she's struggling with putting all her eggs in one basket. My struggle is putting all my eggs in one basket. As a result, I get let down when things die down during the talking stage. I know we've talked a lot about this, but I still struggle with it. I just need more help around it. Okay, so what you're looking for is someone who gives you that validation, someone who is you're looking for someone who keeps everything going in the beginning. You want that magical beginning. You want to keep that going. And with the wrong person, it will not keep going. You know what? I want to tell you, I think I know how we're going to get your head around this. I want you to look for the boring beginning. I want you to look for when he dies out. I want you to look for when it dies down, when the conversation goes down. I want you to look for that instead, because I think that is going to be the place where something healthy starts. We're going to reverse it. You feel so disappointed and let down when the conversation dies down, when that beginning is so uplifting and so exciting, and then nothing. That is such a letdown. I'm going to tell you, that's your savior. When that dies down, that is telling you you're being saved. that is a good thing. You're not going to see it that way. I'm telling you, because I know Lolly, we've talked a lot. So I'm going to tell you that that is a good thing. So you're going to reframe that. You're going to look for the dying down. When it dies down, and then there's something on the end of that, that's going to be the good thing. When there's no dying down, when it's still up here and it stays here, that means you're going to go off a cliff. If it stays up here at that fever pitch, the way you love it, the way most of us love it, because that's, again, the way we're wired, you're going off a cliff. That's what happens. You go off the cliff every time. Instead, you are looking for when it dies down. Because when it dies down, it goes here. And then what happens? Does it pick up? Does it go over here? Or does it stay? Because if it stays died down, it's not continuing. That's okay. It just means this guy was not compatible with you. And we've talked about that. So you'll know. I want you to look for the dying down and then what happens on the other side of that. Because if it dies down and there's nothing there, that just confirms wrong guy, not compatible. Okay. Wouldn't have been happy in the long run. I guarantee you wouldn't have. If you're just looking for up here and you want to keep that continuing, eventually you're going off a cliff. Every natural relationship where you're getting to know someone more, it starts out up here a little bit, right? A little bit, but not so high that it can't come down. It just might be a little bit, but not the fever pitch. It starts out, and then there's a tapering off where reality steps in a little bit, okay? But it's still, there's something there. And then it levels out because it's healthier. It's more realistic. Now you have something you can build from. If you're only up here, you're just waiting for it to fall off, okay? Tell me if that visual helps. I think you're sleeping, but hopefully that will make sense and that will help. All right. And thanks, Anne. You know, I try and communicate it in a way that you guys get it because I have been there, and you guys really empower and invigorate by who you are. You bring your shiny, sparkly selves, and it makes it so much easier to see you. So, okay. And okay, two more. S writes in, she just had her name as S from New York. So S from New York. If I'm not too late for you and you're on, I'm answering yours. She said, I keep attracting men who are long distance and whose first language is not English. This is not my ideal of what I want, but because I'm a woman of color and I'm seeking someone of my background, I feel like it invites a scarcity mindset on both sides. I am open to giving someone not on my preference list a chance, but how do I know if I'm just settling after being single so long? Okay. So you've got a type here that you're looking for, and you've got a type here that you're attracting. And what I would do is I would separate out the two. I would look at not what you don't want and you feel like you keep attracting, but I would look at what you absolutely do want. What do you want here? Because there's clarity in here. So you're attracting men who are long distance. That means you want someone who's in the vicinity. You want someone closer. Define that. What does that look like? Be clear about that. First here, okay? First with yourself here. And his first language is not English. So you want someone who is closer and whose language is English. You want them to speak English so you can communicate, I'm assuming, better. And maybe so they fit the type that you're preferring, that you're looking for. So you want someone of a similar background, which makes sense, right? We want someone who's like us for the most part, unless we have a clear type of someone who's opposite. So this scarcity mindset on both sides, I think just get rid of all this, okay? Scarcity, all of that. Just throw that out that you have to be afraid of a scarcity mindset. Anytime there's a fear of something, and that's kind of what I'm reading in here, is that there's some fear of scarcity. There is a fear of, I'm going to keep attracting all the wrong guys who are not even hitting it close on some of the basics. And so instead, your preference list, how specific is this preference list? Like, do you think you're ruling out people? I mean, I think the fact that you're wondering, am I just settling if I am open? So if I'm open, am I settling? And what I would say to that is there's a difference between being open and settling. Um, Being open is just seeing who shows up. Settling is what happens after you get to know someone. So two very different things. And so I would invite you to view it that way. Be open. Absolutely be open. You have your clear types. You have clarity around what you want. Be open to see how that shows up. How does that get manifest? How does it show up for you? And then look at how much do I feel like I am settling if I stay with someone, if I continue to get to know someone who doesn't have these certain things, and how much am I thinking that I'm doing something wrong? How much am I trying to follow rules? I think you got a lot of rule-based stuff going on here, which is natural because I attract a lot of women who seek answers from very specific rule-based type dogma. That was me to a T, always looking for the rules, how, and of course that invited a lot of what I got. Clarity was the biggest thing. And so the more clear you can get, the better. But I would also say around that clarity, just know settling will be down the road. Okay. Settling will be when you get to know someone a little bit. So what I would do is if they meet the majority of your clarity preferences, things you are absolutely clear, the must-haves. So separate out what are your absolute must-haves that you know you cannot live without. What do you know you will absolutely be settling if you don't do those? That's the clarity I would get. What is what you absolutely must have? What are the nice to haves? What are the take it from there. But I would start with the must-haves, the nice to have, and then kind of would be like the icing on the cake type thing. And then understand why. What's your why behind those? Are there rules behind those? Are they your rules? Or are they someone else's? I followed someone else's rules forever, and that led me into all kinds of problems. And that is usually what happens. We don't necessarily know how to tell the difference between our rules and someone else's rules. So all of that. And then the question of settling, ask yourself that as you go along, right? So do you go to the next phase? Do you go to do you get to know someone? So, do you go to meeting someone if you're meeting them online? Do you go to, talking? Do you go to the next date? Do you go, ask yourself, like, where are the parameters for where you check in with yourself, ask yourself about settling along the way. There'll be a chance all along the way for you to catch yourself and decide, am I settling too much or not enough? And you can ask yourself that. All right. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. I think part of it, what I'm picking up on here is there's a lot of, I get a feel that you are, trying to figure out these rules and they're making them harder than they are. You're allowed to want what you want. You're allowed to have what you want. You're allowed to have someone not dictate what that is. You're allowed. I actually think if you give yourself some more freedom here, you are probably going to find more of what you're looking for with just giving yourself some more freedom. All right. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay. And then my last one here is from Melinda. And Melinda, I am excited for you. That's where you went. Melinda met someone about 3 months ago. Okay. So I'm curious to know because I know Melinda quite well too. Thank you for hosting another one of your awesome live sessions. I'm in a relationship with a guy I met online about 3 months ago. We are broadly similar in that we're both Catholics, family-oriented, with the intent to get married and have kids. We do have some differences, though, that he's more active than I am. He enjoys a lot of outdoor activities. We have cultural differences. And some of his values differ. We both live in Australia along with our families. However, he has asked me about my thoughts on living overseas for 6 months every year, as well as he's brought up the idea of homeschooling any kids we have as a way to accommodate the travel. I have a strong preference to continue living in Australia as I may need to take care of my parents here as they age. I have a long-term stable job here, and he operates his business here. Although I am open to taking a career break and living overseas for 1 to 2 years, I don't like the idea of homeschooling kids, as I feel that kids have more to benefit from going to school, getting any additional support from qualified teachers and extracurricular activities. interacting with peers, and making lifelong friends. Besides, I feel moving from one country to another every 6 months will be disruptive, not just for our careers, but for any kids we may have together. I don't think my boyfriend fully understands the challenges that come with raising kids, especially if we were living overseas and did not have family nearby to support us. I've expressed my views. That was my next question. I've expressed my views and reasons to him, but I'm not sure if these are deal breakers for him. I don't think he quite knows the answer himself. Number one, should I give it more time before I bring these matters up? It's been 3 months for discussion again, given we are still in the early stages of the relationship and still getting to know each other better. Or is it better to discuss our compatibility earlier so we don't waste each other's time in the event that we're not compatible? My boyfriend likens the dating process to a job interview and claims we're in the probationary period at the moment. He's indicated he has a lot of questions for me to assess our compatibility, which he'll bring up at some stage. So he has a lot of questions for me. Okay. I feel like what he's trying to do is obtain an agreement. I do too. I feel like what he's trying to do is obtain an agreement for me on how we would approach a vast array of possible scenarios or situations we may potentially face in the next 10, 20, 30, or 40 years together if we decide to get married. And in contrast, my approach to assessing him is to simply consider the questions. Does he have a good, kind heart? And does he or can he grow to truly love me? Number two, is dating meant to be this complicated with his laundry list of questions to assess our compatibility in great detail in various aspects, contexts, and situations, covering religious views, political views, our views on how to raise children, etc. As always, I value your advice and look forward to hearing your thoughts. Okay, so a lot in there. Yes. Okay, let me start here. He's giving, yes, this, okay, the way he's complicating this, he wants everything up front. He's got all these potential questions as you're getting to know each other to make sure that you guys are compatible, okay? My concern is this is revealing a lot about his personality. If this is too much for you, a lot of who he is going to be too much for you. I am really glad he's addressing this up front. Really glad, because this is important. However, what I'm going to say is that you need to figure out if you can live with this. Because if you cannot live with this, this matters. This is who he is. He's not going to change this. This will get worse. You're going to get more of this. He will have lists. He will have all kinds of things. He'll have check boxes. He'll have, I mean, your lives are going to be just full of all this. Yeah, he's going to need to know a lot. He's going to be very analytical. He's going to be very exact. He's going to be very specific. All of this that he's saying, it's like a job interview. It is like a job interview. Okay, so you're going to be going through this. So what I was going to say is that if this is too much for you, you need to figure this out now so that you're not going too far in with a guy who is fundamentally going to be different from you, because so let me put this another way. So I meet couples who are now married and they're missing all this stuff because no one ever asked this. No one ever put all this out there. They got a lot of stuff that they're not compatible with. They're struggling. They're working through this. There's a lot of things that they wish they had asked early. Okay. So he is, on the one hand, really wise and smart to be getting all of this stuff out there early, because it's going to save you guys some reality checks down the road. But what I'm going to say is that the very fact that he is doing this and you are more content to look at his heart and all these other things means you guys do have a very different style. It is very different. Whether or not it complements both of you, whether or not this is doable, because you're going to be complementary, because where you come at it looking at his heart, you're looking at the more general things. He's looking at the points of being very specific. He wants to know everything. He wants to have all the ducks in a row. He wants to have everything lined up. He wants to make sure you got this huge questionnaire. I will tell you this. On the one hand, I would run as fast as I could from that kind of guy, because that's not me. On the other hand, I would also know how important it is to be compatible and to know who you've got. So I do think there's a balance in here, that someone can ask these things in a way that isn't a job interview, that someone can be forthcoming. You can talk generally about things without it being so specific. I do believe completely that you do not have to cross every T and dot every I in order to find out that you guys are compatible. And I think that is your more approach. So I do think that in terms of more time, you're in the early stages. So he obviously feels he's not bringing up his laundry list of all these checklists, the questionnaires he wants you to fill out. How do you feel about that? If you feel intimidated by that, I don't know. I think it's a conversation you should have earlier rather than later before you get more involved. On the other hand, does he have enough of these lighthearted other qualities to make you feel good and comfortable and that you've got a balance in here? That's a part of it. I mean, I think you're already, I don't know if you need to discuss the compatibility because each other is showing compatibility. And certainly you're getting compatibility because you've done work with me. So you understand what to look for. So the fact that you're even asking these questions, you're seeing this. So I think really the question is you're seeing it. I don't think a conversation about this in more detail is going to cause you to be any more clear. I think you need to clarify with yourself, and we can do a session where we go into in depth on what all these things mean. But I think for now, what is enough for you to understand is that he is not wavering from this. He is saying these things the way they are. His are much more solid and defined. Yours are less so. This is only going to become more so as you go along. Can you live with that? What does that look like to you? If you're guaranteeing that the two of you are going to find out more about each other, and because you're going through this checklist, because he's got some questionnaire to pop on you, is that going to feel more reassuring? Or does the fact that you've got a guy who is like this, is that less reassuring? I think that is your question. If you can answer that, I think you're going to be further ahead than just going around and around with this. And so I think I've answered all three of those things in one here, but I'm going to leave it up to you. Yeah. I'm going to leave you to think about what I've said here. And then, yeah. And then you can let me know if you've got more questions on that because, yeah, I'm happy to go deeper in that with you with a session. And that applies to anyone who I've answered here. If you, if there's more that I need to know, or if what I've brought up has brought more things for you, let me know, and you can send me an email through my contact me or contact me through any of my social media channels. But send me an email is probably the easiest, and I'll have a special offer, half off offer on my regular website coaching, phone, Zoom, to go into more detail, because there's a difference between talking about some things at the surface level and then really getting to the depths of your own particulars, because they matter. And, if I know you and get to know you better, also the answers, it's hard to have a one size fits all answer. So I'm hoping, that you can derive a lot from that, but you'll need to figure that out too. Yeah, but these things, I mean, yeah, I'm just to end here, Melinda. Yeah, but I mean, we're not changing people. We learn how to get along with people. We learn what some people, what things are must-haves. Again, when we talk about lists and clarity, know what your must-haves are, know what those are, and then know what your other things are. That's important. So I think it's figuring this out. It's realizing that you need to be able to go with what, gut feeling here. If you're with someone who's fundamentally different, who's going to be like nickel and diming, crossing every T, dotting every I, that mentality where you're looking for the good heart and we're going to see where this goes. I mean, that's real opposite compatibility there. It can really be complementary, but it is not cohesive. I mean, it is, you got some struggles ahead. So that's the question. Again, someone who grounds you, there's a lot to be said. Someone who grounds you, that feels really, really good. But at the same time, what does that feel like? What are you looking for? What is that? And how much you can disagree. Okay. And you can have disagreements. The fundamental things are on things like family, how you raise your kids, things like traveling, like how important is this to him? You can ask that without getting into all of these other things. You can simply say, how is there room for, hate to say negotiation or compromise, but is there room for another perspective here? Is there room for my perspective? I think the biggest thing I come back to is how much power do you feel in your conversations? This is across the board. How much power do you feel? How much do you feel like an individual who has something to contribute equally? How much do you feel like you are the one who, you've got to say things right? You've got to come up with things right. You've got to say the right answers. Like, how much do you feel like you're, under pressure to give the right answers? How much do you feel like you are filling out a questionnaire? I mean, this guy has an actual questionnaire. Okay, that's kind of the epitome of the idea of being with someone who makes it feel like you've, got this questionnaire. So can feel that way. This guy actually has one. Again, that will save you a lot of complications down the road, but it's really, that's an outlook, that's how someone is that spills over into a lot of other things, and so if you are going to feel, constantly on the hot seat, you don't want to feel on the hot seat. You're in a relationship, not that. So anyway, thanks everyone for being here tonight. I missed a few of you. I was inundated. I had so many emails. I got to most of them. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I will save it for the next time. You can feel free to book a session with me or comment on my YouTube channel, on my videos. If there's something, I'll try and get you a short answer in there if I miss something there. I try and get to most of you. And yeah, so I'm always hoping I get to all of them. But that's all I've got time for tonight. Thanks for being here. Love seeing you from all over the world, pop in from all different places. If you're listening on the replay, you can go to my website. You can find out about my coaching, mention my YouTube live, and I will give you a special offer on my coaching, one-on-one coaching, and we can do it over Zoom or over a good old-fashioned telephone, whatever you prefer. I call all over the world, and I love meeting you. I love talking to you. Thank you all for being here, and yeah, okay. And never forget, never ever forget, you on your own hold your own power. You don't need someone to define what the rules are. You do not need someone to tell you what is acceptable. You listen to your gut. We have been taught not to listen to our gut. We've been taught not to listen to that inner nudging, that feeling that we can't trust it. It serves someone else for you not to believe yourself. It serves someone else for you not to trust yourself. Those red flags, trust yourself. The things that you're picking up on, trust yourself. You know far more than you believe you do. My job, my hope is to coach you to understand how to recognize what you can trust, how to read yourself, how to be able to trust yourself again, so that eventually you coach yourself in these same ways. But I'm here for you. And any way that you see me that speaks to you, flag me and flag me down, and I'd love to meet you wherever you show up, however you're coming in on here. All right. Yeah, thanks for being here. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest or the morning, wherever, if you're waking up, and if you're watching this on the replay. I will see you soon on my next one, and I'll see you wherever else I show up. And if you yeah, subscribe. You'll get more notifications of when I release my videos. I've been doing some shorts. I've been doing some regular ones. If there's something you want to hear, I've got something coming up. I've got narcissism coming up. I realize I think I'm always talking about narcissism, and I am not always talking about direct narcissists. So I am got some videos coming up that are going to be speaking directly about narcissists that you won't want to miss. And lots of other good stuff. So if you have suggestions, let me know. But thanks for being here, and I will see all of you soon. Take care. And yeah, I love you all. Take care. You're special. You deserve the best of what life has to offer you, including the best friends, the best people in your life, the best families that you choose, and the best men who treat you well. Never forget that. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.